Jota on the wing.
Good evening, and eventually, Stephen's not clocked that I actually removed him during the intro because he was being a twat.
You're a dick.
I was watching how long that would take.
You're a dick.
Why no? It's been an absolute shambles to try and start this, so we may as well start in an absolute shambles manner.
What else could possibly go wrong?
I know. But no, welcome along to the latest edition of the Endless Celts Podcast. We're running late. We said we were going to run late, and we ran early top of that as well because just about as we were about to come on, Jed had a power cut, so we thought we'd wait on the guy. Ross had an ending. What did you have for your ending, Ross? Tell everybody again.
No, again. I never felt it.
I never heard that's when the power went.
I had a chicken tikka chili masala, pilau rice, and 2 garlic chapatis and a big pint of Cobra, and it was absolutely divine.
Good.
But you're stinking, but
we'll be later, aye.
But no French kissing for you tonight. With that breath.
Hey, and listen, I'll just cut the rumours for now. I was talking to Franny's wife last night. Ross, I was talking to your wife on Saturday and tonight. And I met Molly's wife on Saturday. So, listen, I make them happy, so they're fine.
You're roughly watching, Thomas. You're roughly watching, sir. You're roughly watching. But no, and can I just say a hello to Uncle Mike and Auntie Fiona? They tell me to be watching today, so there you go. We hello to you. But
hi, Mike.
I welcome along everybody in the comments as well. Just get your comments and we'll also be reviewing the football for the weekend, the midweek there, and looking at transfers and stuff as we go through and looking at the weekend's game. But I'll just start with yourself, Ross. Obviously, you've had your ending in that, so I take it you'll be a happy man now. You'll be feeling good.
Yes, I'm not hungry anymore, kid. You know how I roll.
Good. And yourself, Stephen? How are you?
I'm good, mate. Having the wee Coors. I know what your views are, or some of your views are on Coors, but I'm going to enjoy a couple of. Good man, Zed. Good man.
I might go and join you. I might go at the fridge and get
join me. Join me in this adventure because tonight's going to be a roller coaster. It's going to be an absolute roller coaster. And I'm looking forward to it.
Sorry, what did you, Ross? What did
I said your mountains will not be blue because you keep getting power cuts.
How's yourself, James? As we can see, the Wi-Fi's had not. You've not been on for a wee while because of that.
Aye.
Fingers crossed it stays all right.
On here. I've not been on in a while. I'll need to get that as a catchphrase for me, but no, hopefully that's me back to normal and can go on at least once a week now. So aye, fingers crossed. Looking forward to getting on. I think it's been a good 6 weeks or something for the last time. So aye, hopefully that's us back to normal now.
Part time.
Lord Lookin's been seen more than you in the last
week. And how's yourself, Jed?
Yeah, fine. Just long week this week at work, and just glad it's over. Tomorrow's the weekend, and then the football on Sunday. What else?
Good. Aye, I'm looking forward to it. Right, and I'll just come to yourself first, Stephen. Just because I was a titty at the start there, but just the game on Wednesday, obviously, last game in the Champions League campaign away to Aston Villa. Going into it, a lot of the media, a lot of folk never really gave us much of a chance. And obviously, we sell Kyogo off the back of the young boys game. We're obviously missing Idah because he gets sent off that, and then we find out CCV will be missing due to just an injury, but it's more precautionary than anything long term, essentially. So, because it was, I suppose, on one hand, you could claim a dead rubber on Wednesday, but no games should be seen as that at this level. But where it kind of, in terms of qualification, we're guaranteed the playoffs anyway. So in that sense, it was a dead rubber. But how are you feeling going into it, and just a wee brief sort of overview of the game?
Well, I mean, like you said, in terms of qualification, we were already through, and you're correct in a sense that no game's a dead rubber at this level. But I always thought there's the other way to get the Coors. But I always thought that this game would have been the toughest game. I rated Villa probably higher than I rated Dortmund, to be fair, and Dortmund spanked us. I always had the vision, I'll be honest, that we would get hammered at Villa Park. Obviously, it didn't transpire to be that way. There was a couple of good goals Celtic scored. Kasper Schmeichel was in top form, and he really kept the score down for us. And yeah, you get that kind of the English pundits from Talk Sport and all the rest of the media outlets who promote their game like it's the be all and end all. And we're going to Aston Villa, we're going to hammer Celtic. It's going to be a cricket score and all that type of stuff. And I just put that to one side now because the likes of Jason Cundy can fuck away off, and Simon Jordan and the likes, they all talk a lot of shite when it comes to Scottish football. And get into the game, I remember texting into the group chat, we had a very threadbare squad. We were missing key players, and you could really see the evidence of that, especially in the second half when you have to make substitutions to bring academy players on. And before anyone gets smart, I know, and I always bang on about academy players getting a chance and blah, 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 right? But your first team debut should not be in a Champions League game. The only reason they got on was because we were missing so many key players and obviously sold Kyogo. So that's a non-starter, in my opinion. Overall, the game, I know we're going to come to the goals and stuff, but I thought we played well in parts in the first half, and then the second half, I thought we were just seeing the game out as best we could without really taking on much more damage than we already had, and we got out of there with a respectable scoreline. And I don't like saying that about a defeat, but it is respectable. It could have been a hell of a lot worse, and we could have been sitting in a position maybe after another 7 or 8-1 thrashing, but we're not. It was 4-2. It was quite competitive, but there's things that we'll talk about that really pissed me off in the game, and also with Celtic in these last few weeks as well.
I'm glad that brief overview lasted about 5 minutes, Stephen. Have I just talked
almost as long as that pause?
why just go? Fuck's sake.
We'll come to yourselves, James. Just how did I've not got to come to everybody individually, especially when I watched it with yourself, Ross. But how did you kind of see the game, James? How are you feeling going into it? Obviously, with the players missing. Sorry, couldn't get that out there.
Aye, what Stephen said. I must admit, getting into it, I was fearing the worst. Come 8:05, I was fearing even worse. I was pulling out the couch to get ready to jump behind it, but look, I think Roger said it as well, and I'm the same as Stephen. I'm the one that comes on here and I hate talking about being competitive and celebrating defeats. And we don't celebrate defeats, obviously, but I think there was a lot of positives to take out that game. Arguably, was a couple of negatives as well coming for it. In the sense, as Stephen said, we were missing. I mean, we were missing a couple of key players. Depends if you're counting Kyogo, and that obviously he's no longer in the building. But it kind of highlighted the drop off in quality. Going from Vickers to Scales and pretty much any of the other wingers. Yang will get mentioned, but obviously Palma as well. The drop off is too much, and then obviously Idah comes in, scores the 2 goals, and you're looking to basically B team players, and we've all got our own thoughts in the B team, even with the gap to the SPL, but having to come into the Champions League, as Stephen says, it's in a sense good, but also in a sense it's not really fair on them getting chucked in at that level. So look, as Roger said, I think there was positives to take for it. There was an element of pride coming away for the game as well, and this how we fought back. I think getting into it, when you seen the bench, it was always going to be a struggle come the last kind of half an hour, 20 minutes. But if you told me what would happen after 5 minutes that would go on to pull it back, I would have laughed at you. So I'm happy enough, but as we say, we're not going to celebrate defeats.
No, that's it. And I'll come to yourself, Jed, as well. Obviously, me and Ross were in the pub, and obviously, when you go down 2-0 so quick, so early, you're sitting thinking, is it got to be Dortmund all over again? Why are you laughing? I'm totally freezing because it feels like my internet's broken at my end as well.
It feels as if you're on a 5-minute delay, mate.
I thought we were using a fire stick.
It feels like when they go to the VAR room, they're like, what?
It's just I can tell there's a massive delayed reaction for when I'm talking, and just I can see his like facial expressions and stuff. But
waiting for
we'll
you to reply, and it was like ages.
Aye, I know. Here's me slagging James about the Wi-Fi, and it seems like I've got the Wi-Fi issues today. This is a shambles, isn't it?
It's fine.
It's all good.
This is a disaster. But I said, obviously, after you go down 2-0 so early in the game, are you sitting fearing the worst maybe another night like Dortmund?
Oh, I think we all were. Apart from absolutely screaming at the TV when Tati gave the ball away. We were fearing the worst. But the wee bit 10 minutes after that in the game, I felt we were getting a bit of joy going down the right-hand side. And you could see Idah was trying to put in a shift, and he did put in a shift, and he deserved his goals. But I think even before the game, we put on the chat, the bench was so weak. And fair enough, we were missing, probably 3 guys that you have in the starting big games. Maeda, CCV and Kyogo. Now, it wouldn't have made any difference if we'd signed a striker in at the beginning of the month, because he wouldn't have been registered to play for the Champions League. But I think what showed me in Wednesday night is our squad is not big enough to deal with it. It's not big enough. Yang was out his depth, and I don't know if he will. I think Rodgers will try and get him out as well, because he was non-existent the other night. And I don't like criticising players, but it was poor.
It was, in fairness to him, Ross, he plays a big part in the first goal. When you see it, I'm not going to sit and try and defend the guy, because I thought Yang was absolutely non-existent the whole night. Same, like, I'm apologise, James, but so was Palmer when he came on. I generally don't think Palmer touched the ball when he came on the park in the 15 minutes. But you're sat like we said, Ross. We even joked at each other, said maybe at half time we'll go down the road and here a cup of tea and what. It's the second time.
I'm not getting any of this.
We can't hear you, Franny. It's just it's dialect talk.
But you start kind.
I'm sorry.
I really didn't know how much of that you got there.
I got any.
It's just it's buffering for a better word. It's just no what. It's no.
Aye.
I got any. Was it regarding the first goal?
Aye, just saying how
tell you in 5 minutes.
Play it. I'll tell you in 5 minutes. Aye. No, it was just to say how we showed good character and stuff, and managed to play our way back into the game. Maybe that was a bit of Aston Villa taking their foot off the gas, but I think we've got to credit ourselves that on previous occasions we've essentially collapsed under these circumstances, but we managed to, play our way back into the game. Idah gets that goal and also get the second one quite quick after it.
Well, in terms of going down 2-0, everybody said you were fearing the worst, but I think that's the biggest positive, albeit we've picked up obviously good wins and draws on the road and stuff like that, but the biggest positive for me is the other night being down 2-0. Celtic teams over the last 10 to 15 years would have crumbled, and that would have been a cricket score. It would have been a horrible night. Would have been going into this sort of playoff stage, really low in confidence after a terrible result. And by the way, we've still conceded 4 goals, which isn't great. But, I mean, to be 2-0 down so early on and show character like that to come back is brilliant. And I think Brendan Rodgers sort of touched on that today in his press conference. That for me is the progression of this team since when Ange came in. We've still got some of the same players, but obviously in time that chops and changes. But I think that we are showing a different character now. And they spoke about, I think it was the Young Boys game, they spoke about the maturity and stuff like that. Over the campaign, I have seen a sort of there's a progression mentality-wise. We're still seeing some of the same mistakes. I don't think they've been punished as much this season or this campaign, but I think we have done really well, and to come back and get level in that match so quickly, by the way. It was a weird game because Aston Villa scored their 2 goals inside, it was within sort of a minute or 2 each goal, and then we done the same, and it was obviously restored parity. But then the second half, I think it was yourself, Stephen, that had said that we basically were just trying to hang in there in the game, and we were to an extent, but obviously we get that sort of bit of luck where Watkins slips and misses the penalty. If that goes in, it might be different, and we might lose 5, 6, 7 goals, but it doesn't go in, and we hang in there again. But then that mistake at the end makes it look a bit worse than what it was. But overall, I thought it was a decent performance. Franny's away. But overall, I thought it was a decent performance, and we are progressing, absolutely. But going into this Bayern Munich game, it's going to be a different level again, albeit they lost 3-0 to Feyenoord the other night. I still think it's that next level up.
Yeah, so do I, to be fair. And Franley's just dropping out for a wee second to see if he can reset and come back on. So I'll take over while he's away. But someone put a wee comment up there. It was a Parkhead boy, James. It wasn't a cricket score because Casper done his job, and there was another one saying as well that it wasn't a cricket score because they didn't take their chances, which is fair enough. But like what Ross said, we have shown character. We have, and that's a word that Rodgers likes to talk about every press conference, especially when it comes to European football. You go back to the Dortmund game, we completely crumbled. We then changed their game plan, got into, hopefully I'm doing this right again, Atalanta. I've got slagged off before for saying it wrong, but the Atalanta, the Italian team, we got a great draw over at Italy, and they've been ripping teams apart, scoring goals for fun. We adapted our style of play. Then you go to Villa Park, and Ross again, he's 100% right. You see some of the old traits come back in. We concede 2 early goals. I remember looking at McGranda before the game started, and I said to him, what happens in the first 10 minutes of games usually when Celtic play in Europe? He was like, we conceded 2 within 2.5 minutes. It was an absolute horrendous start. And by the way, we'll dive a wee bit into them. I've seen a lot of people talk about certain individuals not playing well and not doing good. For the first goal for me, one of the main culprits was Callum McGregor. Don't know if any of you have seen the replay. Their guy Rodgers was right behind him in the box. Callum McGregor done his scanning, looked at him, but didn't close that space, and the ball went into him eventually, and he scored. That's where they get their first goal from. And then the second goal, hopefully I'm not getting these mixed up. The second goal, the ball kind of gets lost in the left back area. I think it's Rio Tate, and then your man scores a 1-day. He passed it out, didn't he? And then your man Rodgers scores an absolute beauty, but obviously took a deflection to the scales. But can you take heart from coming back from 2-0 down against an English Premier League club and not actually crumbling in essence?
No, definitely. And 2 minutes or 5 minutes into the game when we went 2-0 down, I went into the game expecting nothing. And kind of similar to the Dortmund game, I thought I was going to get in there expecting nothing and still be coming away really disappointed just with the level of performance and basically getting scudded. When you're doing 105 minutes and their crowd obviously gets their tails up, so you're right under the cosh. So regardless, I mean, I know people are saying Schmeichel played well. That's what your goalie's there for. Your goalie's there to make saves. If he didn't make saves, then it would have been a hammer. But that is the point of having him there. It's to make the saves. And we knew we were going to be under the cosh for long spells. Villa are a good team. They've obviously got a lot better money than us, get better players than us. So
can't be using that excuse all the time, the money excuse. We can't be throwing that around
100%. But this is what I mean, though. So, but when we go into it, like, you go into these games, you don't expect to begin doing there and playing Villa off the park. You know you're going to be under the caution. You're going to be relying on your goalie. You knew that before the game kicked off. So when we went 2-0 down, you're right, Buck, and here we go. It's going to be another 6 or 7 like we've seen in the past. But then we fight back and we come back to 2 each, and we really kind of took the game to him. It was just as if we didn't really come out the tunnel for the first kind of 10 minutes of the game. 10 minutes to kind of settle down and warm up into it. But then when we did that, we looked every inch like a team that was belonging at that level. As the game wears on, obviously with the kind of injuries and obviously Kyogo being away, and we've seen the bench at the start. Like, I know we've kind of, well, Yang at best splits opinion, but for me, Yang's a man down. So getting into the game, you're really not expecting a lot for him, and then you look at the bench, and there's even less on the bench really. So you knew as the game wore on, we were going to fall out it a bit. You knew players were going to tire, and the players that were coming on were jumping up far too many levels. I mean, we've obviously seen people making their debuts as well. I mean, Dane Murray's went from Queen's Park to Villa Park in the space of like a month. You've got the boy Cummins going for the Lowland League to the Champions League literally within about 2 weeks. So you knew come the end of the game, realistically, we were going to fall out it. And look, as it proved, but I don't think that's really... I was going to say I don't think it's a bad thing, but of course it's a bad thing because you don't want to lose games. But I think it was kind of par for the course. It was to be expected that there was going to be a drop-off as the game went on. And obviously Aston Villa had aspirations of getting into the top 8, which obviously they did. So in a sense, they had made to play further than us. It was pretty much a kind of dead rubber game for us. So no, look, and as I say, I'm no one for celebrating defeats. The way people I know have done it to death, looking back on the Real Madrid game and how well we played for it. That
hit the post
for me, but that's no for me. I think there is a lot of positive to take, and if we can add to it, be it in January and then again in the summer, then if touchwood we make it back in next year, then hopefully we can kick on again, and it just kind of keeps that cycle going as Rodgers has spoken about. So it was a defeat, but I wouldn't get too down in the dumps about it. I thought there was a lot of positives to take for it.
There was positives, and you said there about if we add to the squad. We'll come on to the transfer stuff after we get past the European stuff in the podcast. But Jed, it is one of these things, right? What I noticed when you see it on TV, it might just be my eyes, but the Villa players were so tall, athletic, power, built it like stacks, most of them 6 foot plus. And it just seems like you're talking about development of players and things of that nature. We're still that wee bit behind. Obviously, we can't afford the finished article. We can't afford a Yuri Tillemans, a Collins at centre back, and Ollie Watkins up front. So they've got the head start there. But I don't want to kind of delve into the money excuse. And I know James. Oh, okay. But I know James, you weren't doing it. Jed must have another haircut. So direct this towards yourself. Do you think there's a massive difference between the physical side of things? And Rodgers always talks about power, athleticism, pace, robustness. And let's be fair here, 2 or 3 passes, they were breaking our press and they were nearly 1-on-1 with a goalkeeper at certain points of the game. And it just shows you, we are still a bit behind in terms of that level.
I think it's the one thing we massively lack is physicality, especially having a physical presence in the midfield. Again, I know we've done it to death, but I really think we need somebody in there. I think pretty much every midfielder that we have at the club, every central midfielder, they're all kind of tidy with the ball, and include McGregor within it, but they all really want to play the game on the front foot. They want to be running forward. I know McGregor gets played as the sitter, but I still think McGregor's best football is played going forward, and I think we've seen that earlier on in the season when he was banging the goals in. I think a big downfall for us, even this season in Europe, thinking back to like the Dortmund game, even the Bruges game to an extent, it's really been, and for me, that's where all the issues in the games have stemmed from. No having an out-and-out monster in the middle of the park, but then adding into that is we've got McGregor sitting, but we've then got Engels and Hatate or Engels and Bernardo or any combination of them, but they're basically in different postcodes further up the field. So that for me, that's something that needs to be addressed. I think it's needed to be addressed in Angie's full time here, and I find it a bit strange, to be honest, because we tend to get linked with kind of holding midfield players, but I think the last kind of probably out and out holding midfielder that we actually go in the building off the top of my head anyway was that Oliver Abelgard, and obviously we've seen how that worked. Yeah. So, but no, I think it is something that we will need to address moving forward, because I mean, you think through the team, or certainly the team that played on Wednesday, the only real kind of big physical guys in there is Austin Trusty and Adam Idah, but Adam Idah, as much as he's big, I don't think he's like an out-and-out target man or anything. You could maybe throw Johnson in there, but I think it's something. I think it's something we've needed for a while, and we get away with it by and large domestically, but it's highlighted in Europe for me.
Yeah, I think it is highlighted more in European football, Ross. And it's actually crazy. We started this podcast with 5, now we're down to 3. Jed's joined us. He's probably he's having our power cut. He's away to put coal in the shed. He's back in. But can't hear you. Can't hear you, mate. Thanks for the wind up, doesn't it? But Ross, I can hear you now. I'll come to yourself, Jed, then that's fair enough. We were speaking about physicality there in the teams, and as I was saying to you before you kind of dropped off with another power cut, that I noticed that Aston Villa seemed to be more physical, more athletic than our team. And we're speaking about, does the midfield need a number 6? Me and Ross and James as well always talk about this. We need that kind of tough bastard in there to break up play. I mean, just get in the bout players, be that physical presence and drive the team forward. And we do have Engels, but I think he's still developing, and there's a lot of people saying that he was at fault for one of the goals, not taking down John McGinn. But let's be fair, John McGinn has an arse like Beyonce. You can't get around that. And once he manoeuvres it around you, there's only one way you're going, and that's on the ground. I thought Engels done well to track it back, but obviously after that, kind of went to shit. Do you think we lack that physical presence at a European level, Jeff?
We lack it at Scottish football level as well. I put on the chat last night, we needed a powerhouse in the midfield. Now, in Engels' defence to John McGinn, look how we lost the ball. Scales was almost up near penalty box, and the boy, and then he were out of position with a man down. That's how we conceded that goal. I'm not blaming Engels for that. I'm blaming Scales. But obviously, I haven't heard what James was saying. But for me, I keep asking myself the same question. Why do we do this every European game? The first few minutes, we concede goals. Our passing is terrible at times. We'll lose the ball. And then we're caught out big time for it. So it was 3 out of the 4 goals. Maybe even 4 goals, but let's be honest, 3 out of the 4 goals was down to our own stupid mistakes.
Yep.
But that's what we're doing all the time. We need to cut out. We need to do the basics, and we're not doing that. We are not doing that. It's nothing. I know James mentioned about Aston Villa. Yeah, Aston Villa are quality. But guys, remember a couple of years ago when Bodo Glimt came? That's what played us off the park. We're doing it every year. We have the odd wee game. Yes, there has been improvements. To come back from 2-0 down was phenomenal. But let's not paint over it. We do the same mistakes year in, year out. Is that a psychological problem? I do not know. But we keep giving the ball away in midfield, and then we're struggling.
Yeah, I totally agree. I do, to be fair. I think Ross, I always put in the chat when teams play Rangers in Scotland, they forget how to play football for one half or two halves. Sometimes it feels like Celtic do the exact same thing in Europe. And Pete McLaughlin comes in, bring this comment up. We've had 4 3-all draws, a 7-1 batter, and a 3-0 derby defeat, and a 4-2 beating at Villa in the past 10 months, and Scales has played in every one of them. Now, I'm not saying, again, we're not blaming Scales, anything here. He wasn't at fault for one of the goals, but this is a team thing. Is it just a quality thing when you look at this from the outside in? I mean, you speak about having that physicality basically from when you started this podcast about a Wanyama type of midfield, and maybe that won't solve all the issues, but what it would solve for me is the fact that we get overrun at every opportunity by a team that is physical and athletic. Callum McGregor looks like a man out in sea. I mean, Rio Watate, albeit he's shown in flashes at Villa Park, he has that kind of excellence about him. He's not really the physical type where he puts in a tackle. And then Engels, as I said, he was doing a lot of off-the-ball work. I noticed he was breaking up the play, but again, still weak. So the control of games automatically, in my opinion, goes from us when we face a side who's more technical, more powerful. And then it's a fighting battle from there being 2-0 down at Villa Park.
Well, listen, obviously it comes down to the fact that you're playing a better team they're more well-drilled. I think you talk about that holding midfielder, that strong, athletic midfielder that we've all been crying out for a number of years, myself included. I think that would help us, but I don't think it solves all the problems. Now, I'm not one to talk like this has been an absolute disaster of a campaign, because it hasn't.
No.
It's sort of coming across like that a wee bit, and I don't want it to come across like that. But I think that, as I've said, I think that type of midfielder would help us out in these types of games. But I think one of our biggest issues is Celtic play a certain way. They played a certain way under Ange, play a certain way under Brendan Rodgers, where we want to have ball possession. We want to pass the ball, build it out for the back. And that is the modern way. And it's what most fans want to see across the board at all clubs. You look at teams like West Ham, Crystal Palace, they've all tried it, where they want to play that total football. But sometimes you have to realise where you're in the food chain and realise that the quality of player that you're able to get into that club determines how much total football, if you like, you can play. And I think that applies to Celtic when it comes to the European stage, in that, Stephen, you talk about Rangers quite a lot in Europe, and Rangers, for me, they don't play as nice in the eye football as what Celtic do. And it works for Celtic brilliantly on the domestic front, which is why we win more trophies. Well, we win most of the trophies. Whereas Rangers are a bit more direct. And listen, Rangers have been playing lesser opposition than what we have for the most part, which you have to take into account as well. But I think that sometimes, I don't even know if it's overplaying it. Celtic, I don't think they're overplaying it. I think that it's just the team they're facing are so well drilled that they know when to press. It was like, even against Young Boys the other week, we were building out for the back, but as soon as it went for like, was it Trusty? Trusty to Vickers, then Vickers would maybe shift it out to Alistair Johnson, and then as soon as it went to Alistair Johnson, that was their trigger to press. And it looked like Alistair Johnson was having a bad game, but he was getting put into like channels where he didn't have an option but to go back the way. And then it was sort of, he was under pressure and it looked desperate. Sometimes wasn't executing the pass how he would normally do it at a domestic level. But I just think that these teams, as I've said, are so well drilled, and Celtic building out for the back, sometimes you have to vary it and just go a bit more direct. Albeit that's difficult to do at that level when you've maybe got Kyogo, who you can't just put balls into. He's not going to win the header. But then I think that's when you see certainly the Young Boys game as well, where we were going down the channels, and we were trying to mix it up a wee bit, going down the channels and really utilising Maedah's pace in that game. But again, Young Boys aren't as good as Aston Villa, and we're also playing away from home, so it's difficult to impose yourself on the game as well as what you would at home against Young Boys. But I think I go back to it. Obviously, that type of midfielder would help us, but I think it's our style of play, and I think that sometimes you have to realise that you can't play that total football coming out for the back. Certainly early on in the game, listen, I have to say actually, see before Aston Villa scored their goal, credit to Celtic. I thought they started the game really well, and they were passing it quite confidently. They were getting it about, but then Villa got that one chance and they took it, and then we lost our way for a wee bit, obviously. And it's the usual when it's a real quality team away from home, certainly. When Celtic lose an early goal, another one usually follows, and that transpired the other night. And that is so frustrating. It hasn't happened all the time in this campaign, which is obviously a good thing. But we need to really try and rectify that before we come up against Bayern Munich, because they are obviously the next level up. They've had a bit of an up and down campaign so far, but they're that good a team that they sort of find a way to get through, and they've done that. And then it comes to this sort of knockout stage, and then that's when these teams up their game. So Celtic need to up their game as well. But I've sort of done full circle there, but I think that I'll go back to it. It's sort of Celtic building out for the back, and it's not just it's our style of play is what I'm trying to say that affects us in these games.
Ross, you're 100%.
You're
100% right with what you're saying. I know I'm coming across a wee bit negative as well, and no. I am, but I'm also, I'll praise when praise needs to be given. What I can't understand, not just Wednesday night's game. Look at when we played Rangers. We struggle against teams that now press against us, and for me, that's a bit of a worry. Now, a few guys have put the comments that Stephen's put up about sometimes you have to play the long ball. Go back to when I was on the podcast after Aston Villa beat Bayern Munich. Aston Villa went to a back five, and they were trying to hit them on the break and playing the wrong ball. So totally different from the way they played us the other night. We have to be able to adapt, to be able to defend, and then go with long balls. We can't always pass round a high press, because if we try and do it and lose the ball, that's where trouble's causing. Right. So we need to try and go round. If we can't get round them, we need to go over them. So over them as a long ball. It's not rocket science. It really isn't. Because, yes, they are technically better than us. But Bayern Munich are technically better than Aston Villa. But Aston Villa got a result because they adapted mid-game. And that is where we aren't adapting.
But would that not be down to more the players that we have available? I know we always go back to the Atalanta game and got that great draw, right? That's fair enough. But if we look at the Aston Villa game in isolation, and by the way, Ross, you are right in what you're saying. We're not going to make it a negative thing. We're just talking about the Villa game, and then we're going to move on to a couple of bright things like Alameda and things like that. But just to get the kind of the tactical side of things out, do we have the types of players that could go to a back five and a 4-1 and play that long ball football? And James is right. For me, Alameda isn't an out-and-out target man. He can take the ball in, of course, but I don't think he's that guy who's going to, hustle and bustle all the time, keep it up there, hold it up, and wait for other players to join him. I don't think he's that type of player. And it comes down to the squad we have available. I mean, could we have done that against Villa? You would have probably had to start Dane Murray and things of that nature. So there's risks with different aspects of what you're saying. By the way, I'll be honest, I agree with what you're saying. We do have to adapt, but can you not see the other side of the coin? If Rodgers goes 1 week, like we're playing this high intensity football, and then the next week we're going to come off it and play a low block and rely on counter-attacks and breakaways, maybe the squad doesn't have the capabilities to do that, and maybe that's why he's not done that.
Is that to me?
Jeb?
Oh, to me? Yeah. Maybe I haven't, but surely we have to work on it in training. We know. So what we're going to do, are we going to try and play the same against Bayern Munich? Because if we try and go toe to toe with them, we'll struggle. Look when we played, when we beat Barcelona all the years ago, 12 years ago, whatever it was. It was because we were organised. We realised our limits. So we worked round how can we try and go over that? And it was balls over the top. We have to be adaptable. That's all. However, listen, I would love us to play the tiki-taka football because when it comes off, it looks fantastic. But I think you have to pick the games when you can do that. And I said earlier as well, the New Year game at Ibrox, Rangers just pressed us to hell, and we can get round them. And we played right into their hands. So we need, again, I'll repeat, we need to be able to adapt. So we need to get it doing it in the training ground.
We'll never know. Maybe with new signings coming in, that might change. But James, let's come on to something brighter. Adam Idah, the £9 million striker that McGinty loves so much. How all the pressure was on him. He was feeling it. He spoke about it himself. He put out a lovely quote on Instagram, time to step up when Kugo left the building. And, we slagged Todd Cantwell enough for doing that sort of shit. It's all cringe and all, but people do it now in this day and age. But Adam Idah, let's talk about him. I thought he was fantastic for the 70 minutes he was on the pitch, and he really gave us that out ball. And I know I'm going to contradict myself here about the physical presence, but I thought he'd give Konza and the other wee centre-back a torrid time, even so much so that they actually switched sides to deal with him and combat him as well. His first goal, I thought it was a great bit of kind of improvisation. Greg Taylor, Ross loves him, with a cross into the box. That Indian's killing you, isn't it? You are done.
It's lying.
If this wasn't the podcast, you'd be... But yes, Greg Taylor gets the ball into the box. A couple of wee deflections here and there, and the ball finds itself going towards Adam Idah, and instinctively, he gets that big right leg up, gets it behind him, and boom, past Martinez. And by the way, fantastic goalkeeper. Pissed me off a lot that game because he just kept the ball until one of the players closed him down. He just pumped up the pitch. Such a wee arsehole. But good first goal by Adam Idah. And just let's talk about him because I think he deserves it. He's come under a lot of criticism in the last couple of weeks, and rightly so. 14 games, I think it's 14 games without a goal. He got that lucky break against Young Boys, played a pivotal role in that goal to secure qualification, and he does bag 2 against Villa. And that must do him the world of good. It has to.
Aye, especially the timing it with Kyogo. It's obviously been the first game after Kyogo's away. You'd imagine getting into it, he must have been short of confidence because it hasn't been great this season. But I can do there, even in the circumstances as well, 2-0 down in jig time, and then I mean, as you say, I think it's 2 really, really good goals. It does really well for the both of them. So I'd still like to see somebody is bring in a striker to, at the very least, compete with him. But if he's going to keep this kind of the form up, and like you say, he did kind of mix it up when we needed him to be that kind of physical presence. He was doing it, but also I can't even remember the score when he done it. But there was one of the ones he actually took the ball in quite a good kind of run out wide. I ended up smashing it into the side of the net. It was got to cross it, but it's things like that. Like it showed that he can mix it up, so he's no kind of easy to play against. It's no just all coming into feet and holding it up, bringing on people in. I think it was the Atlanta game. The amount of times they back to goal at the halfway line and fucking the trampolines in his feet, and he was getting the ball away. And then you see him the other night, and like the 2 goals were brilliant, but he was also mixing it up, getting in behind, coming short if needed. So look, it's one game out the season so far probably that he's been a standout and he's looked the part, but the timing obviously with Kyogo being away couldn't be any better for him. You'll get a lot of confidence for that, and you'd imagine if we bring another striker in, he's going to get another couple of weeks with a run of games anyway, possibly even get into the Bayern game. So it'll do them the world of good, and it's going to do us good as well to have somebody step up. You'll go to the door.
Yeah. I think I counted in my head 5 seconds, and that whole positive train crashed with you, James. Get a replacement in. One game. He done well. One game. But Ross, Brown Warrior comes in. Well, this is directed at me, but I'll direct it at you. Are you aware that Idah has now matched Kyogo's goal haul in the Champions League in a quarter of the game time? The big fella's he's like a wee assassin. As he just comes up, boom, knocks in 2 like it's nothing to him. You have to say, the individual goals. I mean, there was a couple of crackers. Obviously, the Rodgers goal for Villa. The second one was a peach. And then I think the 2 Idah goals were just fantastic. The second one in particular, because if you think about that goal with the keepers coming out, that happened very recently in a league game, and he pulled out of it. He didn't pull out of it this time. Engels played a lovely flick into Rio, and Rio with a great assist, and he made that dart and run past the centre back, stayed onside, and it was just 2 good goals.
They were 2 really well worked goals, and I have to credit Adam Idah. On the night, he had a real. There's James dropped him out now. What's going on here, man? On the night. Oh, they're in the half. I think Kyogo's floating about the stream or something. But
staying in between the lines.
No, he did have a really good game the other night. I mean, obviously helped with his goals, but his all-round game, which I have put or I have questioned, certainly last season and in part this season, his all-round contribution in game, I think, has been lacking, but it wasn't the other night. And I mean, obviously, he'll get confidence for the goals. Hopefully, because we don't know if we're going to get another striker in. I think we will. I think we still have to. But hopefully that'll kick him on. But I'm trying to think what one was the first goal.
That was the Greg Taylor cross, and it kind of went behind him, and he had the volley it into the net.
Aye. That was a well-worked goal, but certainly the second goal was brilliant. Obviously, Engels plays it into Hatate, and then Hatate plays it across the box. And he's, like you say, Stephen, he gets on the end of it this time. Probably it's helped by getting that first goal. But I think slight difference was that the one that he missed a few games back, he was coming across the front of the keeper, and I think he maybe thought that the keeper was going to get there and didn't quite get there, but then he was coming the other side of the keeper this time. And listen, it was a great goal, a really well worked goal. I was absolutely spewing, by the way, because I had a bet builder on, and I had Schmeichel over 1.5 saves, Martinez over 1.5 saves. I had over 5 corners, and I had Engels for an assist. Tenner on it. 130 quid, and Engels didn't get the assist, but he got the secondary assist. So I was absolutely spewing. I actually thought initially when it had happened, I thought that because I could just obviously celebrate, and then you play it back in your head, and I just remembered initially that it was Engels that played the pass, but I forgot about the Hatate one, so I thought it had came up. But no, 2 really well worked goals, and Idah on the night had a really big contribution, not only with goals, but he gave us, I don't want to say an out ball, because obviously I've spoke about how we try and build out for the back, and we were doing that, but it wasn't like when you think back to the Atlanta game, Schmeichel was dinking balls into him, and he was coming short and putting it up in the halfway line and trying to bring guys into play. And for the most part, by the way, it didn't work, and it gave me bloody heart attack at times. But in that game, but I think you would have probably seen Celtic playing it in a similar fashion to they did against Atlanta, had there been more on the game for us. Obviously, because we knew we'd already qualified for the top 24, the top 8 was probably just beyond us. But no, everybody gets 6 results going their way when they beat Union, SG or whatever it is. But I think you'd have probably seen a similar fashion, but he played a different game this time, but a really good game. And I've questioned Adam Idah, I have, but at the end of last season, with all the goals he scored and his performance against Kilmarnock, he'd won me round. I mean, he's obviously, I've made the case, and I know Stephen, you rebuff it, but not having a pre-season does really hinder you. It does, and it takes a while to
But
catch up.
it's January.
But it doesn't matter. We've seen it with other players. I can't mind off the top of my head who, but we have seen it down the years with other players where they've struggled the early part of the season. But out with that, I was starting to get to the point where is Adam Idah good enough to be our number 9? Yeah. Can he lead the line? Performances like the other night give me hope. I'm not convinced, like James. I'm not totally convinced that he can do it. But he showed all the qualities the other night. If he can put a run of that together and lead the line and get... He needs a run of games as well, because it was difficult for him to get Kyogo at the team, who's obviously a brilliant player. But if he gets a run of games now, then you might see he had a pre-season. No, that's nonsense. He was supposed to be getting... He had a pre-season and that he was training and stuff, but his head was elsewhere. He wasn't playing a lot of minutes. It's no nonsense. It's not the only reason why he's been playing bad, but it's no nonsense. I'm not accepting that. But
Ross, I'm agreeing with you, mate, because I actually thought he came in a little bit overweight when we signed him. So he did. So I'm agreeing with you. I don't think he done a very good pre-season.
Right, but if he gets a run of games, is what the point I'm trying to make at the end. If he gets a run of games now and he plays, listen, he can't play as good as he played the other night and get 2 goals every single game. But if he comes in and contributes and be's that focal point up front, and he does that, as I say, for a run of games, then there's hope for Adam Idah at Celtic yet. But he's still got a lot to prove, and for that reason, I still think we need another striker in the door. But
yeah, I
would like to see Adam Idah get a run in the team and see what he can deliver for us.
Yeah.
Well, there's no doubt for the foreseeable he will be the main striker for Celtic until such times we'll talk about soon about transfer targets coming in. But Jed, like I agree with Ross. Like the pre-season argument, we've had our twos and fro's about it. It's not a nonsense argument. I don't agree with that at all. But again, there's different aspects to it of him coming in and trying to get up to speed. Kyogo still being the number 1 striker. He's only getting maybe 15 minutes every game to prove a point. So that's kind of difficult to do. But what he's shown against Villa is Adam Idah on his best day. And it's about getting them best days on a consistent basis. Like, you remember Samaras? Unbelievable. But you got 2 good games in about 10. Do you know what I mean? It's about being consistent, showing consistent levels. And I just hope Adam Idah takes confidence from that. He can get in the right positions. He's instinctive. There were 2 great finishes. He didn't have time to think. He made the right calls for both of them. And he was doing the hard stuff, like James said. He was taking up the corner flags. He was holding the ball. Then there was one point when he got his second goal, he ran down the right-hand side, and their defender came over to close him, and he just dumped him onto the ground. That's the sort of stuff you want to see in, week out, at SPFL level, domestic cups. Doesn't matter where he plays. If he shows that base of form, then he could be the number 9. But again, that's further down the line. He was just fantastic at Villa Park, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I was delighted for him because he was going in with a lot of pressure, and I thought he was outstanding. Now, let's look at it from another angle. If you've got neutrals watching that game, and I've never seen like Adam Idah playing like that, they were saying, geez, he's some player. Look at him. He's causing them all sorts of trouble. I thought he was outstanding. My only concern was I don't know if any of us spoke about it, is I thought he pulled up a wee bit before he went off.
He's fit.
Is he fit?
He's confirmed fit. Yeah.
Good. That was but I was delighted for him, and hopefully now the fans will give him a wee. Not give him much criticism. Let's support him because we need him. We need him because I know we'll touch on the transfers in a wee while, because what I've heard today might not be good. So
Oh, exclusive
What?
by Jed? What have you
No,
heard?
no, there are rumours going about that we went in for a player on loan, a striker. I don't know who it is. The person hasn't been named, but they say
Right.
the fans go ballistic if this is the guy that's coming in. So I would not.
I love this. I
Kenny
love
Miller.
this.
Listen, let's hope it's absolutely bullshit. Okay, but
I hope so.
I wouldn't even
I have
have said that. I wouldn't even
no.
have said
Listen,
that.
I'm only saying what I've seen today.
Aye.
You know, and it could be.
I've seen some rumours as well.
Adding 2 and 2 and coming up with 22. You know, that's what you got to hope. But
Morelos.
yeah, that's
Morelos.
Idah.
With sandwiches.
It'll be Dessers. But listen,
Desser's loan ups in the back.
I thought, no, Idah, he was outstanding. I thought he gave their defence, the two centre halves, a torrid time, and that was what I took away of the game. That was the best thing I took away from the game the other night. His finish for the first goal was phenomenal. Instinctive just to get his foot up. If that's Kyogo, he wouldn't have done that because the ball was so high. You know, because but he wouldn't have been able to do it. It was finding his height, got him there.
That finish
Kyogo
reminded me Ibrahimovic.
Yeah,
he got his legs so high that.
You're right, Ross. Kyogo wouldn't have been able to do that because of the type of player he is.
Mm-hmm.
So Idah was brought in, and the second goal as well was superb. And by the way, we had them rattled then. We absolutely had them rattled. The fans were quiet, everything. But
your man comes in. I must be watching a different game than the lads on Wednesday because I thought that the goals were poor, but genuinely hope he does kick on. And I say, to be fair with you, I agree with a lot of what you say, your man. But let's be fair. Let's not talk shite. Both goals were good. They were good goals, in my opinion. They were technical goals, and that's a lot of top strikers, if they scored them in the Champions League, they'll be talked about for weeks and weeks and weeks just because it's Alameda. It swept them one side. But another player, Ross, who kind of showed fits and starts in the game, we spoke about it briefly, Rio Tate. He looked good at certain parts of the game. He was taking the ball in the half turn. He was breaking lines. Rodgers likes to use that phrase. He was finding good passes. He got an assist for that goal from that lovely Engels flick. It's another situation where Rio hasn't really been that good in the last couple of weeks. But you see the best of them sometimes. It's like an Alameda situation. Why can't he kick on and show that? It's, where does he go from here, so to speak?
I don't know. I mean, I said before the game, James will laugh because we had a bit of a joke, but I said I wouldn't have played the Tatty. James was saying, obviously, I must hate him, but I obviously don't hate Hatate, but I just think that, listen, he showed, like you said the other night, he showed the good points as to why he's picked, but he also showed the bad points as to why some people wouldn't pick him. Certainly I would always play Hatate at in any competition for Celtic. I would always play him at home, and I would always play him if he's available away from home, domestically. But in the Champions League, in this type of game, albeit he obviously sets up that second goal, so it sort of steps on my point a wee bit. But for the most part, Hatate gives the ball away too much, and then you get that turnover where you're not set. It's a quick turnover, and these level A players, they really punish you. Celtic, and I'm not talking about maybe in the last 3 or 4 years. Celtic for the turn of the century, as long as I can remember, playing in the Champions League, have always gave the ball away in dangerous positions in their own half, trying to like start an attack, being careless, and then that turnover. And Hatate is really, really culpable for that. And it puts the defence under severe pressure, and you don't always get punished for it, but more often than not you do. I think it's a big gamble playing Hatate, but obviously you could make the case that it did pay off the other night as well, because he set up the goal. It was why he stayed on the pitch in the Young Boys game, because a lot of people would have took him off in that game, but for the reason that we needed a goal and we were at home, it didn't matter what was going the other way, because there wasn't. Young Boys did play better in the second half, but other than that really big save for Schmeichel midway through the second half, it wasn't a game where we were going to be under the cosh, so it was worth leaving Hatate on, and albeit it paid off and he got the goal. It was the same at Pataudry. Didn't look like we were going to get the goal, but then Hatate comes up with the goods. He can do that, and he's a bit of a maverick in that sense, but he does have his faults. His concentration levels are absolutely remarkable, to be perfectly honest with you. I've never seen anything like it. It's like it's as if in his head he thinks it's too easy sometimes, and he just shuts off for what he's doing, and he just sometimes holds on to the ball too long. But he's a fabulous player, and when he's at it and he's going forward and he's got time, he can pick a pass from anywhere. And he's, as I've said, he's a maverick. I don't want to lose. I would hate to see Hatate leaving Celtic, but maybe we would like to see that midfielder type that we've spoke about to come into these games and play away from home, and maybe bring Hatate late on if we've managed to sort of stay in the game.
Yeah, I agree. And Hatate, like Jimmy Brown said, he gets the time to turn and pass in the Champions League games, and kind of going off what Ross was saying, like he's an enigma type player, to be fair. He made the difference at Young Boys with that pass, the lovely kind of switch between his right and his left foot to make that space for himself. And again, he got another assist for Alameda against Villa. It's just, for me, again, it's consistency. And even Roger just spoke about it on numerous occasions with Rio. He's got all the tools, but it's about putting that together and seeing that go forward on a consistent basis. And we haven't really seen it. And like, it's a strange one, because we know what he can bring. We know what he's good at. And then there was a point as well, people talk about in the comments, he kind of anticipated one of the Villa passes. He broke it up, and he was basically 1-on-1 with Martinez and hit the most tame shot I've ever seen in my life. And it was a great opportunity. It's like when someone hands it on a plate, that was that moment. And then he had another shot in the second half where it kind of just fizzed by the post. And that was more like him, more kind of digging that. It would have caused Martinez problems if it was on target. But what was your assessment of him in the Villa game?
I thought he was really good, and I must admit he really was starting to go on my tits, none more so than in the run-up to that Young Boys game last week.
Hey, don't say Ross was getting on your tits. He wasn't even at his mic. Come on, James.
Nah, but honestly, he was, and I think that just adds to it, because we've seen it against Villa. I thought he was really good against Villa. I thought Engels was really good as well. In the midfield.
What do you make of people saying he was actually shite? I don't understand what they were watching.
I think he gets a very, very hard ride off supporters. Sitting at the Young Boys game last week, he was getting absolute dog's abuse, and I don't think he was any better or any worse than anybody else he was playing alongside in the midfield. I think it is just a price tag thing. And look, I get it, but I think Engels has been a good signing, and I think he's getting better week on week now. I think he gets a very, very hard ride at it, because he has the kind of record signing, the 11 million, and all the pressure it comes with it. And I've said that before, he doesn't set his price. He's a young guy. He's come in for a top league. He was playing week in, week out in that league. He's getting called up to a decent national side. He's getting game time for a decent national side. So let's just get behind him, because he is improving week on week. Look, I absolutely agree. He's had games where he's had an absolute stinker. But I think the new he's improving. Even, as I say, last week, look, the penalty was horrendous against the Young Boys. But in terms of his overall game and open play, I think he's been really good. and I say that since he's coming in. But barring maybe a couple of games, I think overall he's been very good. And I think he gets a hard time of it. But to get back to Hatate, that's I think frustrating probably is the word to describe him. Because for every bit as good as he was last week and every bit as good as he was down at Villa Park, there's every chance he turns up to Fir Park on Sunday and stinks the place out. We've seen it before. I don't know if it's just like an interest thing with him, if it's maybe short windy stuff in the Champions League, and even that's maybe harsh to say because was it the Bruges game at Parkhead? It was horrendous, like really bad, and I think he either managed the 90 minutes or it was the last sub with like 5 minutes to go, and I couldn't believe he lasted as long as he did. And I've said before, obviously in the group chat and stuff, Luke McCowan isn't getting more game time is beyond me. And look, I've ended up digging out Hatate out as I tend to do, but it was good at the weekend. But it was good during the week. But I'd like to see more of Luke McCowan. I don't think he's ever started a really big important game for us, and I think he deserves it. If I'm being honest, look, Hatate's shown it in spells the last couple of weeks, but if you're comparing it to like the full season in terms of when they've played, look, Engels is going to play because he's Rodgers is signing 11 million and all that comes with that. McGregor's going to play because he's a captain. So you've then got Hatate, McCowan and Bernardo probably competing for one place really, unless we're rotating and resting. And for me, out of the three, I think overall McCowan has shown more than both Bernardo and Hatate. And if you told me I'd be saying that 6 months ago, I would have laughed at you. But if I'm being honest, I think he deserves maybe a crack than he's had. McCowan tends to be the one that will come in for the midweek game at night time for like rotating and resting players. And if somebody's injured, if Hatate's injured, it's Bernardo or vice versa. It never seems to be McCowan he's the one that's always getting chopped and changed. And I'd like to see him get a run in the team as well. But again, it plays into what I say when it comes to Europe as well. Look, McCowan, Engels, Hatate, McGregor, Bernardo, every one of them, they're all very similar in what they want to do. So whether or no sticking him in there is going to make a massive difference, it probably wouldn't, if we're being honest, because they're all very, very similar. But I just think he deserves maybe a chance than he's had. And look, I'll hold my hands up. I didn't think McCowan was a bad player or a bad signing, but I just didn't think
you were on that night when Gav cheered when McCowan signed, weren't you?
I didn't say he was a bad player. I didn't say he was a bad signing. I just thought it was a pretty pointless signing, considering that we'd signed Bernardo. I didn't think he would play. But look, I mean, the rest of them he probably hasn't played, but I think he deserves it. I think he deserves a run in the team, and I like what I've seen from him. And as I say, out the three, he'd be tapping my list to be getting a nod.
James, I'd give you Idah and Rio Hatate as positive performances at the Villa game, and you've managed to talk about replacing Idah within 5 seconds and tell us that Luke McCowan needs to start over Rio. That's fantastic. Thanks, James. Wouldn't have it any other way. Unbelievable.
Luke McCowan was a positive.
Luke McCowan out of all was a positive. But Jeff, what about yourself? Rio Hatate, he is a frustrating figure, isn't he? Because we know what he can do, but again, it's the consistency of him.
Yeah, I mean, when he's on his game, he's phenomenal. But when he's off his game, he was well put me in the park. James, just to touch on what you said about Engels, I agree with you 100%. You do not get to pick. You do not get to play for the Belgian national team in midfield unless you're a decent player.
Or Portugal's under 21s.
Aye. Sorry.
Or the Portuguese under 21 side, as I keep getting told.
But see as well with the. I've said on here before as well. Engels just came in. He's 21 years of age. He's came to another country. Guys, think back to when you was 21. Chris, if you went 3 mile outside your hometown, you were a fish out of water. So give the guy a wee bit of break. He's going to take time. But it will come good. And when we're talking about the midfield, I'll bring up again. When are we going to talk about McGregor? How many
Talk
good
about
games?
him.
How many good games
it's an
does he
open
have?
chat.
And how many bad games does he have this season? And there've been a lot more bad games than has been good games.
Oh, that's wild. I wouldn't say that.
Ross, it's true, mate. It's true.
I don't know, like I
It's
wouldn't agree with that.
one of our best performances at home around about Christmas time was when he wasn't in the team. We moved the ball a hell of a lot quicker.
It's
So
one game, though.
I could listen. It's all about opinions. People say my opinion's shite. Other people say my opinion's correct. It's just my opinion.
Aye.
I just feel at times he seems to be undroppable when he shouldn't be.
Well,
I think it's because he's the captain, but I don't think that he's had more bad games than good games this season. That's the wild part of that was.
No,
I was saying.
honestly, Ross,
I don't think he's.
I personally do.
I don't think he's
I
been
didn't think he was
immense
good
this
in
season,
Villa.
but I think he's a leader.
Outstanding. He was outstanding in the first half against Young Boys last week. So I'll give him credit, and I said that when I was on. I'll give him credit for that. But then in other games, he has been posted missing. You can see when he's even at the Villa game the other night, he's chasing back, and I'm sitting watching the game with my daughter, and I'm saying he's too slow. He can't track back with that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's lost a yard to pace.
See, to be fair though, I don't agree totally. I wouldn't go as far as say
started
good because I think at the start of the season, I think he started the season really well. But I think if you compare him to the start of the season, even to now, and it's something that I've always said, and you hit the nail on the head there, Jed. But for me, I think it's the role that he's asked to play in the team. He's constantly asked to be the deepest of the three, and for me, we maybe get away with it domestically, and look, we didn't get away with it at Ibrox, we didn't get away with it in Dortmund, and it's always the same issues. It's McGregor, it's plumped in front of the back four, which is where a holding midfielder should be, but your other two midfielders are fucking either corner flag marking the wingers. And you could drive a bus through the middle of the team, and for me, that is the issue. It's no Liam Scales is hopeless playing at centre back, or Greg Taylor's hopeless at left back in the Fentros, or Palmer's shite, or Yang's shite, or whatever. For me, that the issue is the midfield, and as I say, you could drive a bus through the middle, and I 100% agree with you there, Jed, when you say you see people running past him, and he can't keep up with them, and he can't get a foul in on them. And I think if we're going to asking them to play in that role, at the very least, I think we need to have somebody sitting right beside him to basically be the legs for him. And I'm not saying that he's lost a yard of pace or whatever. I don't ever think he's really been particularly quick. But I think he's still better played further forward.
Listen,
I've always thought that.
I would love him to prove me wrong. But I'm going to ask you a question, and that everybody that's watching. When Rodgers was here the first time with Scott Brown, who played in that position, right? McGregor was outstanding. Is that, like you said, is that not his best position then? Sitting where he is in the midfield?
I don't think so. I've never, ever, even
right, so
when he was brilliant,
I'm giving him a wee bit of leeway here to say it's maybe not his fault. He's been asked to play in a position that he's not the best at. He's better being more natural. Let somebody else.
Jed, if we're talking, sorry, Ross, if we're talking about legs and getting up and down the pitch, if you're going to advance him into an 8 or a 10, he needs legs to break lines and things.
Yeah, but you're not
you know what I mean?
asking him to trail back.
Aye,
there's the difference.
Well, see, the way I see it is, right, I think you are judging him on, maybe not so much James there, but yourself there, Jed, maybe judging him on, like, at the European level, and I get that, right? I would say that Cal McGregor's best position probably is now the number 6, but he's been asked to do it, and for the most part, I think he does it really well. Domestically, albeit he's getting played still as the number 6, he's got more reign to get forward, and I think that's been evident this season, and that he has last season under Rodgers, I don't think he had as much, let's say, the shackles off to go and get forward and get involved in the play. And I think it's no more proof than the amount of goals that he's got this season, certainly for the edge of the box. I think he's been asked to shoot for outside the box. So I think that domestically, I don't think he's been played as an out-and-out number 6, albeit he probably is the deeper, but he's got that reign to get forward and get involved in the attack. Whereas away from home against teams like Aston Villa, the opportunity to go and do that is more few and far between, if you like. So it looks like, well, he has been played more as an out-and-out number 6. And I agree with you, that isn't his strongest position, and I think that's why Ollie is on here. I think I speak for you all when we say that we all want that probably more physical, but still technically good holding midfielder. And then Cal McGregor can go into that 8 role. I think that if we lost Rio Hatate in the summer and we brought in that type of midfielder we're talking about and Cal McGregor moved into that 8 position, I think we'd maybe lose that like killer pass that Hatate can play, but I think we'd probably be a better team or a better midfield than if we had that solid guy, which Cal McGregor struggles to be now against the bigger, better teams. But he could still do it. He can still be the one that dictates a game of football in that 8 position.
I mean, like I say, I know I'm criticizing. I'd love him. He's been what a servant he's been for the club. He's been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And I'm maybe harking back to think. I remember. I just don't see. I don't like to see him in the big games the way he is, trying to track back, and he's not got it. And I hate that because I know how good a player he is, but I just don't think that it's the position he's playing in.
Aye, I was going to say that. It's not Cal McGregor the player, it's that position.
You know. But
I think for me as well, James is right when he's talking about, we know Cal McGregor, he's not an out-and-out number 6. Brown Warriors talked about it in the comments. He's always been very vocal about it, to be fair. His defensive aspect of the games, he's more involved in attacks and starting play as that quarterback type position. But one thing James has said is correct. If I think back to, I think this is a scenario you're talking about, Jed, when Cal McGregor's tracking their midfielder, I think it was Ramsey, he just outpaced them. But the issue with that is, if you think about it, we start that game with a midfield 3. In the picture and in the replays, it was only Cal McGregor there with 2 midfield players. Engels and Hatate were 10 or 15 yards up the pitch. If you close that gap and you close them lines, then you have more chance of breaking up the play and winning that ball back. But unfortunately, at that point in time, we were totally broke apart as a team. Cal McGregor, to his credit, tried to track that fella back, but he couldn't do it because he couldn't match his pace and his physical level. But it comes down to it, if you're more organised and you have, managers always talk about this, you close the gaps between the midfield and defence and attack, and you play as that compact unit, which we've seen at parts in the first half. Idah was behind the halfway line at points because we were trying to be that compact unit. But it was just unfortunate at that moment in time that Cal McGregor was caught out. And look, I agree. I don't think Cal McGregor has been at his best this season. Albeit his goal return is quite good. I don't know what it is. It could be accumulation of things. He's played so many games. I know it's his 500th game here against Motherwell at Fair Park, which is a fantastic achievement. But at this moment in time, we have no other player who can play like Cal McGregor in that number 6 position in terms of starting the attack, taking the ball in, and getting through the midfield press and things of that nature. I like Cal McGregor. He's been fantastic for us. But again, like you said, Jed, it's about opinions, and he's not exempt from criticism. When we talk about Engels, we talk about Rio Hatate, we can throw Cal McGregor into that mix as well. That's no problem at all. And I mean, what would be your solution then? Would you take him out of the team? Would you drop him? Or
I just think maybe don't play him all the time. Rest him and bring him in. I just felt that game around about Christmas time. It was trying to think who we playing. It was 3-0, and I just thought we moved the ball so much quicker. Oh, sorry. Noise obviously everything. What the hell's that? Listen, I just want my old Cal McGregor back. And it's hurt me seeing the way he is now. But insane, look at some of the goals. I'm going to compliment. Look at some of the goals he scored this year. Every one of them, I think, has been outside the box. He scored some amazing goals. But unfortunately, I'm being a little bit clouded by what I'm seeing at the moment.
Yeah. Both, again, it's about opinions. And I want to round up the Villa game because we've still got a wee bit to talk about. And I know Jed wanted the podcast to last an hour and a half, but Jed, unfortunately, buddy, it's going to be a wee bit longer than that. I know Ross is hanging on by a thread. I feel like getting a wee sleep bag in the pillow.
Enjoy it.
I'll be back in 1 minute.
But, okay. Ross, let's talk about the events that have kind of happened since. Obviously, there was the incident with the flare being thrown onto the pitch. And the Celtic released a statement today. I don't know word for word, but it's along the lines of it could be a ban for away fans for the Munich game and things of that nature. Now, apparently, from what I'm led to believe on Twitter or X, whatever, this was one individual. It wasn't a group, like the way people like to tar the Green Brigade with this brush, but apparently it was one individual that chucked this flare onto the pitch. And apparently it came, now this might be fucking lies here, but apparently it came from the corporate section, whatever. But what do you say about this? What's your feelings on it? I think Rogers was a wee bit fuming today, and he talked about the genuine Celtic supporter that they travel away from home in Europe, and that people do this for livelihoods. I mean, they travel, they save up money just to go away with Celtic, go away to these European adventures, and that could be took away from them because of one idiotic act by a supporter who may not even go to games all the time. So, I mean, that's the risk you run when you throw a flare onto the pitch. But do you think it's one of these things, like Roger said, it's been an accumulation of events and UEFA are going to take, I don't know, disciplinary action of some sort?
Well, it absolutely is that. I think Rodgers, I watched it not long before we came on. I think he absolutely hit the nail on the head. It's been a culmination. It's not just that one event. It's been years and years now. Just listen, Celtic supporters are renowned all over the world for being really well behaved, but it's in the stadium with these flares. You're not supposed to do it. It's not allowed. I don't know how they get them in, but stewards are not paid enough to search guys who have been on the drink all day or whatever, to search them on the way in. They're not paid enough for that. They're not paid enough for what maybe abuse they would maybe receive. So they just on you go, whatever. But I just don't get it now. It's getting to the stage where it is. This has been threatened that let's just say, right, we come up with a Leipzig performance, right, and we beat Bayern Munich 1 or 2-0, right. Now I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying just for a scenario, we go and beat them 1 or 2-0, and we go over there. It's difficult anyway, but you're going over there defending that advantage that you built up in the home leg, and you go over there and we've got no fans because, well, that flare got let off by one fan, but it's been happening time and time again, and fines and fines and fines, and it's not worked. And we go to Bayern and we've no fans in that stadium just because of that. It's mind blowing. Listen, I'm not blaming the Green Brigade. I don't know the full ins and outs the other night, but that's like they can't go. They've stopped themselves from going because this flare behaviour. It doesn't. Listen, it adds a bit of colour in that, and it's nice on the eye for the people looking at it, but it doesn't add in the atmosphere. It doesn't intimidate the opposing players or anything like that. It's for me, I don't get it. I would never hold one of these things in my hand for the fear that it would explode and I would lose my hand. I just don't get it. It's not for me, but everybody's different, and all different walks of lives. People are into different things. I'm just not into that sort of ultra thuggery behaviour. I like to go to the football and watch the football and go home. That's just who I am. and other people like to do it a different way. But for me, it's getting to the stage now where Celtic and the fellow fan is going to be punished for things that they've not done. So it just needs to be knocked in the head. It won't be knocked in the head. It'll continue to get done because the type of people, I'm sorry, but the type of people that take the things into the game, they don't live by rules. If they get told not to do something, they will do it more. It's just the way they are.
Yeah. No, to be fair, I mean, the whole Fleur situation, when we were in Grace's last time, I'm pretty sure I've seen you holding the Fleur outside it, but I know you said you wouldn't hold it, so I wouldn't from that accusation towards you, but,
holding
you know,
you're like...
you're on the Fleur, Ross. You're on the Fleur. But James, I mean, and this is, look, I have to admit, I like the ultra movements. I like the colour. I like the tifos. And we're very hard pressed to be critical of that because I think it's a freedom of speech thing. And I know that pyrotechnics is a totally different argument here. But again, we're led to believe it wasn't the GB or the boys group that done this. There's multiple comments that have come in and said that as well to kind of back that up. So surely, I mean, I'm sure Villa have a state-of-the-art CCTV footage in their stadium that could cover the corporate section to see who the individual that thrown this. Can that be resolved by banning that individual, or do you agree that it has to be a blanket ban on away support?
Well, I don't know if I'd say I'd agree. Obviously, I don't want it to happen, but look, I think Ross is hitting the nail on the head there. It's stupid. Regardless of whether you like this ultras movement, you don't like it, you're totally indifferent to it. Regardless of whether you like flares, don't like flares, or you're totally indifferent to them, you've been told no to do it. We already knew we were on a suspended sentence, essentially. So we've known that going into it. So it's just totally brain-dead, selfish. I know it was just one guy. It wasn't a group or the Green Brigade or whatever. But it's totally brain-dead. It's stupid. It's selfish. And it's not just going to get the individual punished that potentially will get them punished. But if we're being honest, it's probably going to get the club as a whole punished, and it will punish the guys that have never held a flare, never threw a flare, which is the majority of people. So, look, it's stupid. Look, I am totally indifferent towards the use of flares, and I know there's people dead against them, asthma and health reasons, which is fair enough. And then there's people that are totally for them and think there should be a discussion about safe pyro and stuff, but it's
that's my daughter and pass.
Why did you tell James? Why did you tell James to shoot? Hello, what's happening?
He's on the podcast.
It's a bit
we're doing a podcast there.
Right.
Hello, a bit early.
Right, beat it.
You're on the podcast.
I'll be coming off this tonight.
I'm going. Hail!
But aye, so look, I'm totally indifferent. Ask her what she thinks about Callum McGregor. I'm totally indifferent towards flares, right? It doesn't do anything for me. I don't particularly hate it. But look, you've been told not to do it. You know you've not to do it. You've been told umpteen times not to do it. We've been fined umpteen times for it happening. So to go out and whoever it was, to go out and do it again, they'll have known that. And it's just so stupid. It's selfish. It adds absolutely nothing. And it's going to end up penalising thousands of people potentially that had absolutely nothing to do with it. But look, rules are rules, and we were told not to do it, and we've done it again. So, it's probably going to happen where it will be a away support travelling to Munich, and it's hard to feel sorry for us because we've been told, and just because we've got dafties within the support that still take them, it's going to end up costing it for everybody else. That's basically where I'm at. Yep.
To be fair, I agree, and I'll never get that image out of my head that Jed went, "Shh, do you then?" that way.
Guys, I did say to you before we came live.
James, shut up! Shut up, James!
I've got a feeling she'd come in. Okay,
I've never seen anyone go redder. I thought you were a traffic light telling me to stop her at one point.
imagine what
Unbelievable.
it's going to be like when we go away in 4 weeks' time.
Oh wow, you're going to have a good time there, man. But what do you think? I mean, look, like James said, he can be indifferent to the situations, but it's just idiotic behaviour. And I think Ross, you referenced the fact that it wasn't the incident, but someone did get a really bad injury in their hand with a flare at one point at one of these grounds as well. So there's that aspect of things, of health and safety. And we keep doing it. And Roger's talked about the fines that Celtic are paying is hundreds of thousands of pounds, and they don't get a lot of money from all these like sponsorships and stuff. So that can be a difficult thing to contend with, and it just keeps happening. What's the solution? You ban the supporters, but then again, like James said, it penalises thousands of people who just want to go support the team, just normally.
Well, let's hope moving forward. Yes, we are going to get a ban. That's it. It won't happen again. Because, like people are saying, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it was the Green Brigade, wasn't it the Green Brigade, whoever it was, but some idiots threw it on the pitch. So we are going to the fans who travel home and away in Europe all the time, and every fan that goes to love Germany, they've missed this opportunity now to go. But let's hope that's put an end to it and it won't happen again. Because I think it's going to get to the stage where if it does happen again, you could have potentially fans fighting amongst themselves because guys are going to go mental at them. So they are. And you don't want that happening. Look, it was just we have been warned, and then who's ever done it said a bit of brain freeze and chucked it on. The thing is, you don't even know if he's been a young guy or an older guy. We don't know. But the genuine fans that go are now can't go to, well, they probably still will go to Germany, but they won't be able to go and sit in their away end. Yeah,
no, that's true. To be fair, Jed, I mean, let's cut the shit. You shouldn't have done it. Take the rap for it and just get the ban on yourself. It's all good.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So
he's admitting it.
Yeah, I must have had some throwing me to throw it from my couch.
But look, that kind of rounds off the kind of the Villa game. Fuck, we're 30 minutes in, and we'll come on to we're on the last kind of 3 days, or February the 3rd, I think. So Monday, the transfer window closes. We've let Alex Valle Ross go back to Barcelona. He's subsequently joined Como on loan, Fabregas's team. We've also sold Kyogo. So we're down to basically one striker in Alameda. We've brought in Felipe Idah, which is a good bit of business to kind of strengthen the wings. But I think, in my opinion, it's been a pretty shambolic window. This Kieran Tierney situation is boring the absolute fucking roll clean off me, right? See, when that pre-contact was agreed, ask the question, is he available now? No. Move on. But no, like Celtic do, like to drag things out until the final days of the window. Now, if rumours are led to believe we're chasing around a loan for Malcia at Manchester United, who had an injury that kept him out for 100 days. Brilliant. Looking forward to that one. And now we need a striker. We need a left back. Again, in my opinion, Ross, as I said, it's been a shambles. Just, what do you think so far?
I just find that statement, Celtic go to Arsenal, is he available now? No, move on.
Well, I mean, that's not how it works, but I'm trying to be funny. I'm just trying to be funny with it.
Absolutely.
But you know what I mean?
Like, there was a whole thing where if Zinchenko went, then Tierney would stay. I'm not sure if Zinchenko's went yet or no, but I'm guessing
he's still there.
But I'm guessing that he's probably going to go. There's something in the pipeline, and that's why Arsenal have said, look, we now know that we need to keep Tierney until the end of the season. It's took a wee bit of time, but that's not on Celtic for me. That's Arsenal, their situation. But Celtic have had to go along with that. But at the same time, we've let Alex Valle go. In an ideal world, you wouldn't do that. But I think at the same time that he's obviously had an offer for Como, and I know Celtic hold the kind of cards. If I'm right in what I'm thinking, that they sort of hold the cards because they've got him on loan. But I feel like I'm not talking to him now because Stephen asked me the question. I was coming back in what he said, but Valle left, or he's leave, or he has left. But I'm that way. Like, he's came in at Celtic and he's probably not got the minutes that he would have liked, and then he's got this permanent offer on the table where he can go to Como, and it's probably we want you now.
I don't think it was a permanent. Was it not just a
not?
loan again? I think
A
it was
loan
a
an
loan.
option, is it not? A loan with an
Oh,
option.
is it? Right, well, I stand corrected, but I think that he's probably thinking to himself, I'm not getting the minutes that I want here, and he needs... There's James froze now. Nobody's listening to me, Jed.
But Ross,
No.
as well, do you not think there's been pressure came from Barcelona to Celtic?
Well, that's what I was going to come on to. I think there's a bit of that as well, where it's Barcelona's player. I don't know if Barcelona felt like he was going to get more minutes than what he's had at Celtic. He's had some minutes, obviously, and he's done well. He's not set the header on fire, but he's done all right. But I think... Well, that's what I'm kind of talking about now.
I think he's whoever that is coming for tonight. It's mad.
He is like
not nice.
No, but I think there's maybe been, as you say, Jed, I think there's maybe been a bit of pressure for Barcelona, and that they've went, look, we want him to develop. He's made his Champions League debut. He's done all right for Celtic, but Celtic know that we're not going to want him long term. He's not. But this is what my assumption is anyway. I think Brendan Rodgers thinking we're not going to have him long term. He's done okay, but we're going to get Kieran Tierney in. We let this guy go out and go and get the minutes that he wants, because he's 21-year-old. He deserves to get more minutes because he is a decent player, and he needs to develop at this age. And Celtic, Brendan Rodgers, when he brought him in, probably thought he was going to help his development, but because he can't, he feels like he can't play him as much as what he maybe would have liked on the face of it when he signed him. He's maybe thinking to himself, this is no fair in this guy. I'm hindering his development at this age now. So let him go out and get the minutes at Como. Listen, it's not ideal for Celtic, but I still believe that Celtic are probably trying to get another left back in. Now that they know for sure that Kieran Tierney can't come in this window, they might get a short-term loan. But if they don't, it's not the end of the world for me, because... it's not the end of the world for me, because they can... Listen, I don't want to be negative, right? But we're playing Bayern Munich, right? So the chances are we'll have 2 more games in the Champions League, right? Alex Valle not being here is not going to be the reason why Bayern Munich put us out of the competition.
But that's such a cop-out argument. No, you could say that any year, any time we play in Europe. We didn't sign another striker, but we're playing Barcelona, so what's the point? That's too easy a cop-out. No,
I'm not saying what's the point. I'm just saying that he isn't going to be the reason that we get put out. But I look at it and go, right, I still think that we'll probably try and get somebody in just to fill that void until the end of the season, until we get Kieran Tierney, right? And I still believe that Greg Taylor will sign a contract and be playing at Celtic alongside Greg Taylor in that position. They'll chop and change. But I think between now and the end of the season, I would love to see us beat Bayern Munich and put them out, right? But the chances are it probably won't happen. But so between now and the end of the season domestically, we can play Scales if it comes to it in desperation. I don't think he's a left back. I think we've got the option to play Montgomery, who can come in there again. It wouldn't be a long-term solution unless Greg Taylor gets a broken leg or something. Then it would be a disaster, right? But the chances of that happening are really,
Please don't
slim.
tempt fate, Ross.
Oh,
I
he's
know.
fucked it already. He's fucked
I
it.
probably
They ain't
have.
touch wood here. They ain't touch
You can
wood.
play. You can play Scales. You can play Montgomery at a push again. They aren't the perfect options, but they're options for a game or two domestically against a Ross County or whoever it is. Ralston can come in over there. You could even go to a back three, and you could just play Scales, Trusty, and Carter Vickers. You could play Johnston, Carter Vickers, Trusty. There is other options there domestically that we could cope with. And I mean, the Bayern Munich game is on the horizon, so Greg Taylor is going to be available for that. You would imagine so, and then there is other options. So I'm not too hung up on it. I know that Tierney's coming in, and I know that he comes with his injury troubles and stuff like that. But if it goes well, it is a gamble you take. But we all say it, most signings are gambles. The other one is the striker position, as we've touched on earlier. I think that we need to address that. But Idah showed the other night that maybe he can be that guy that can lead the line. We've talked about it, where he maybe needs a run of games. They 2 goals, they'll do him the world of good. So again, if we don't get that striker in this window, it's not an absolute disaster, but it's something I would like to see us doing. I think that position is probably the most pressing. I don't think that there's an overreaction for me on a lot of fronts in terms of that left back position, and I don't think it's the end of the world, because the likelihood is we'll only have 2 games against Bayern Munich. The rest of the games we will be able to cope with just Greg Taylor.
James, I've watched you pull some facial expressions, and you've kind of twitched in your seat a wee bit. Now, let's be fair, right? Let's be fair. I don't want you to be a cop-out now and just be like, whatever. Tell me how you're feeling about what Ross said.
I think he's hit the nail on the head and he's spot on. Perfectly put. Look, I think what you've described there is the definition of everything that annoys Celtic supporters about the boardroom.
But what you're going to say is the definition of what annoys other supporters.
No, but mate, what you've just described is the definition of coasting. That's just coasting through the summer. Of course it is. I wouldn't trust Liam Scales to play his own position, never mind play somebody else's. I wouldn't trust Tony Ralston to play his own position, never mind somebody else's. Adam Montgomery has had 2 loan spells at pretty shit teams where he's done absolutely nothing, but all of a sudden he's going to be good enough to see us through for the next 6 months. Me and Stephen, I'm sure at certain points in last season, had recommended playing Scales at left back and were shot down in flames for it. But all of a sudden, because the circumstances have changed, and look, Kieran Tierney was always coming in the summer. We've spoke about it umpteen times on here before. His contract was up in the summer. He was coming in a free in the summer. If we go up in January, it was going to be a bonus. And I've said it umpteen times. Every left back we were linked with in the summer was always on loan. And you go back and see the podcast, I've said it a million times. And in my opinion, in the summer, left back was such a pressing issue for us. And I thought that the fact that every signing we were getting was a loan signing was very telling, because it meant next summer, at that point, obviously this summer coming, it meant that Tierney was coming in. We now find ourselves in the position, but we now find ourselves in the position where the guy that was brought in to see us through until Tierney came in has fucked off halfway through the season, and Tierney isn't coming in. Therefore, it leaves us short. We're playing Bayern Munich. Realistically, we're probably going to go. But is that a good enough reason to say, fuck it, we'll play Adam Montgomery there? He wasn't good enough for St. Johnstone.
That's not what I said, though.
No, I get your point. Obviously, Greg Taylor's still there. And look, ironically,
I still expect us to bring in a left back.
That's what I was just about to say. I'm going to turn around in a second and say the exact same there. But at this point, and that's not even the one that's annoyed me the most, to be honest with you. It's the Kyogo one that's really irritated me, because the way he changed his agents in the summer and the way Rodgers was talking, we've known that the move for Kyogo was on the table in the summer. Excuse me, we've known that the Kyogo move has been on the cards for a while. We've let him go. And then the reason we've used for letting him go, whether it's came for Kyogo or the club or whatever, is that wants a move to a top 5 league so he can get in the Japan squad for the World Cup. Is fair enough, but I don't subscribe to that because Dyson Maeda is getting in every squad. Hatati's getting in more often than no. I think it's just a case that the manager probably doesn't fancy Kyogo. And the fact that we've let him go, look, 10 million for a 30-year-old is good. But the fact that we've let him go and the fact it's the Rennes, our Rennes, and I've seen people saying he's going to be like, he's that. Our Rennes going to be offering that much more money, if more money at all, than we are. I mean, he's going there in a relegation battle. I've been of the opinion I was wrong, but I thought after maybe a month or two of the season that Idah would have been the number one striker just purely because of how long Brendan Rodgers chased him for in the summer. But we're now in the position where that could be the case. But it's still, at the same time, we're chasing a guy that we've been linked with for what feels like probably about 2 years now in Chris Gardner. But we only asked the question after Kyogo left. It just seems all a bit back to front, and it's the exact same as the left back spot where we're letting a guy go, but we don't have MD to come in. And I would still like to think that we're going to see at the very least 2, but probably 3 new faces coming in before the window. Yeah, before the window shuts on Monday. But it still doesn't change the fact that we let Vi go on. Basically having our fingers crossed that Arteta was going to let Tierney come in, and we've let Kyogo go, having known at least for a while that he was wanting away with absolutely nothing lined up for him. And look, I know it's going to be if buts and maybes, not that, but if Carter Vickers
You're assuming we've had nothing lined up for him though. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. It's just an assumption that Celtic sell their star striker, but do fuck all beforehand, like try to get somebody in that does my box in. It's like these are professional guys. They know what they're doing. They don't just do a dereliction. No, you're assuming that Celtic haven't. No, nobody yet. But you're assuming that Celtic haven't done anything to have made strides and approached MD or been looking at MD or made a bid for MD. You're assuming that they haven't done that.
But they haven't signed.
I know it's not reporting. No, I never said that.
I didn't say you're assuming you can bid for 100 people if they don't sign.
It sounds like you're assuming that they haven't done anything. That's what you said.
Well, when we sold Josip Juranovic, Alistair Johnson was in the building to replace him, and we were told that Bayern, that was going to be the model moving forward. Last season, we didn't need to sell our best players in January with Matt O'Reilly, even though it was a loan move to Atletico, and that was all the chat. So 12 months on, we're in a better position. So what's changed?
Well, Matt O'Reilly didn't want to leave. Kyogo did.
But you just told me I was assuming that.
He just told you what?
You told me I was assuming that. No, you're assuming it.
I told you. I'm not assuming it. It's been reported.
No reverse, mate.
It's been reported that he wanted to leave.
You just told me that I was assuming it,
right,
and then you've just told me that he was.
No, I told you were assuming that Celtic haven't been
with
any other striker.
No,
they just
I'm loving
let
it. I'm
go
loving it.
And weren't they approaching anybody else as a contingency plan?
As it stands just now, and I appreciate the window hasn't shut. As it stands just now, are you happy with the position that Celtic are in?
I wouldn't say I'm happy, but I'm not panicking like a lot of other people.
It's an I-no question. Are you happy or no?
I've just said I wouldn't say I'm happy, but I'm not panicking. I think that's not an I or no question. That's why I answered it without an I or no.
But it's fucking question time or what?
Surely we're singing off the same hymn sheet though.
How?
Because if I'm not panicking either, I still think we'll sign players come the window shutting on Monday. But Vi probably isn't as important, but in terms of having a place in the squad, it was important. But
here's one. I'll chuck the both of you, right? Because I'm enjoying this. I'm sipping a beer. I'm enjoying the banter back and forth. It's all about opinions. We're all having good fun. No one's fighting. It's just disagreements.
No yet.
At this moment in time, right? And Jed, I'll bring you in a wee second, but I want to hear Ross and James' point of view. And I'll start with Ross. Are we weaker if we end this window as we do now? Are we weaker? But I'm saying, but
what's the point in that question though? Because the window's no shut. It's a pointless question.
We're leaving it to the last couple of days.
Ask that question at the end of the window. There's no point in asking that question now because there's still stuff to happen.
He's captured a belter.
Go back in, James. That's hear you.
No, mate, I actually agree with Ross in that respect. I still think that we will sign players.
Fuck this, then. Went to shit.
End of the podcast. No, I find it hard to imagine that that we won't sign a left back, and I find it hard to imagine that we won't sign a striker. And the fact that we're linked with Physicality and they're talking, what is it, kind of 10 plus million, 12 million. There's obviously an appetite for a striker, but I just think the annoying thing in the way that the manager spoke, we've obviously known for quite some time that Kyogo was wanting to move away. He'll have his own reasons for it. Good luck to him. He's out the door now. It doesn't matter to me, but the fact that we've known about it for a while and we haven't taken the steps to get somebody in the building, and now we find ourselves again with a couple of days to go in a window. And I'm not saying we're scrambling about, and I'm not saying it's a panic buy, because this Chris Garden, if this is to be the guy, we've been linked to him for long enough. But we now find ourselves in the position where every club that we go to deal with will know that we're holding a bit of folding again, and that we're in dire straits looking for a striker in the last couple of days. And it just doesn't put you in the best possible place. And we say it all the time, even the game on Wednesday night, you just want Celtic to be the best version of Celtic they can be. And with the steps of taking in the window, to this point, and I still think it will change, but to this point, it's not been the case.
By the way, can I just come back on that, right? You say that we're in dire straits. I don't think we are, right? I would like us to sign another striker, right? But again, I'm not panicking. If it comes to it and we don't get the man that we want, I'm not wanting us to sign somebody just for the sake of signing somebody and then everybody goes, it's a panic buy, right? I look at it and I go, again, we have options, right? Idah, if he gets a run of games, we've spoke about it in this podcast at length, if he gets a run of games, hopefully he can kick on now, right? But at the same time, if you're worried about maybe him getting injured or whatever, we've now got Jota in the door. Jota can play on the left, he can play on the right.
But then we're short the wing. We needed a winger, so you're taking a winger out a winger spot and playing him at striker. That leaves us short in the wing again.
No, see, I'm not taking him out. I'm saying if it comes to it and you have to play Idah through the middle at any point between now and the end of the season, then he can do that. But for the most part, it'll be Adam Idah. But also, Jota can play on the left and the right now. So that takes the pressure off of Maeda and Kuhn. They probably don't need to play as many minutes because Rodgers was playing them, as much as he could, because he doesn't want to lean on a Yang, he doesn't want to lean on a Palmer because they're no good enough. But he can lean on Jota now on both sides and take the pressure off them. And if he, for talking sake, if he starts, if we don't sign a striker, by the way, but for talking sake, if he starts Maeda and Kuhn, right, and Idah through the middle, then in game he can take Idah off, put Maeda into the middle, bring Jota on, play him on the left. He can keep Idah on. He can. There is options there across that front line if we don't sign a striker, and it's just a Real Madrid one. Just a kind of training. I just got it at JD Sports. I've lost train of thought there. Aye, there is options there if we don't get a striker. And again, I go back to it, and I don't want to have a negative view in that we're just going to turn up and get rolled over by Bayern Munich. But the likelihood is we will only have 2 games in the Champions League now. So again, I think if we didn't get a striker overall between now and the end of the season, we still have enough for what we want to achieve. between now and the end of the season, albeit we would like to get to the next stage of the Champions League. But even if we had Kyogo, even if we had Valle or whoever else, this is a big task to get to that stage. But I still think we've got enough within the squad as it stands to go and achieve domestically what we want to achieve. And we've achieved what we set out to at the start of the season in a European level. If we can get another stage further on, then it's a bonus, and it's a really big bonus. Of course it is. But I'm not making any judgment on are we weaker as it stands, because the window isn't shut, and I'll wait. I'll make judgments at the end, or obviously Monday night, Tuesday morning. But as I said, I still think we've got enough. I think we've got enough options within that squad to see us to achieve what we want to achieve between now and the end of the season.
Are you happy with that, James? Are you happy with that comeback there?
Weirdly enough, I genuinely think in some ways we do agree, but in some ways I think we're just coming at it from totally different angles. Look, especially my Hydro tickets to be out here. No, I think you need a fucking stepladder anyway. I think the thing is just the fact that we haven't brought them in. I still think we will bring them in. But it's just the fact that we haven't. And I agree with you. Look, if the window ends the day, the window doesn't end the day, so it doesn't matter. But it's just the fact that we've let the guy that was brought in for the season to get us to Tierney in the summer, we brought him in and then let him go halfway through the season. But all of a sudden, Scales, Ralston or Montgomery is going to be good enough. And as I say, Scales isn't good enough to play his own position. Neither is Ralston, and Adam Montgomery probably shouldn't be at Celtic, if we're being honest, any longer. But
yeah, I don't understand that. I mean, I've seen in our group chat that Anthony Dunn and Franny were kind of touting for Montgomery to be the backup. That's never, ever been acceptable, in my opinion. He wasn't a part of the first team squad for a reason. And like you said, James, he's been involved with a few loan moves. He's been absolutely fucking keepered. He's been shite. So he shouldn't be anywhere near the squad, in my opinion. And see, to be fair, what I find actually magical about you two, the only thing you two agreed on was me talking shit about being the squad weaker. So there you go. But Jed, you have a voice, mate. Throw your 2p in. Let me hear what you think about this transfer window so far. Bear in mind, we've had Alex Valle-go, who was our backup option at left back. We've let Kyogo go, our number one striker, for £10 million. By the way, the Rennes manager has been sacked. Extraordinary turn of events there. But yeah, he's been sacked. But 2 seconds. Let me see. Franny comes in. I've seen it. I'm not blind, Franny. You said Montgomery. You agreed with Dunn. But Jed, how are you feeling?
Yeah, fine. I'm just disappointed. We've been on that long with Mr. Motherwell game. Listen, what Ross and James actually made some very good points. You know, I think from my point of view, and I think with a lot of supporters, I think the frustration for us fans at the moment is we know the club are financially well off, and we were hoping. I personally was hoping we would have had a lot of signings in by now, and I do agree with James where he says we could be held to ransom to get players in. And I also, what Ross said about Idah, I actually said this in a previous podcast. We do have the luxury where we could have, if need be, Idah could go up. He could play as a striker. So we have got that option. But from a fan's point of view, why the hell have we not had the players in? And I know, Ross, of course, we've been trying to sign players, but has it been biscuit tin mentality? I know negotiations is if they say it's 10 million quid and Celtic go in with 3 million quid, yeah, and you try and meet halfway, but let's do it a bit quicker. That's all as fans. Strikerless. Any bother.
Hi, John.
Hi, John.
Hi,
Fine,
John.
mate.
Nice to see you.
I know.
Bye, John.
Listen, welcome. But listen, we're moaning and we're winning, so I feel difficult. Must be rotten for you, moaning and getting beat, so it's fine. But anyway, we need players in. Let's not beat about the bush. We need players in, and we all want the best. As any fan of any club, they want the best for their own club. So I'll let you speak, Stephen.
This was my major bugbear, because I agree with James in essence that we had succession planning in place for likes of when Janovic left, for AJ in and things like that. That seems to be kind of left behind, and the whole Kyogo situation baffles me. Look, again, I'm not playing that I was right card, but I've said it from the start. I think this would be his last season. I thought he would have seen out the season, but we didn't see this coming, and he moved to Rennes for 10 million quid or whatever it may be. But the fact that we've let him go with no kind of concrete replacement lined up, what it seems, is a bit, in my opinion, stupid. I know we're linked with Quits Garden or fucking Top Garden or Fanny Garden, whatever his name is. I'm never going to get the pronunciation right. He linked with him for 13.5 million. I don't see that happening this window. Maybe that's more for the summer to see what happens then. I know we're linked with a couple of.
Stephen, can I ask something, right? Why spend 13.5 million in the summer? Why not spend it now?
That's a good question, Jeff. A bit half cut, but it's a hard window. But no,
evening, Ross.
Evening, James.
The way I used to are fucking idiots. But the way I look at this is, I think the board are looking at this from a point of view. The left back situation needs sorted out. Greg Taylor still hasn't signed his new contract, so technically we have no permanent solution there. That needs sorted out quickly. I know we're with Malsey and from United and people like that to kind of fill that stopgap until Tierney comes in. The striker situation, Jen, I'll be honest, I don't see the board breaking the transfer record 3 times in a single campaign. Obviously with Idah and then Engels, I don't think they'll do it with Neats Garden.
But Stephen, I will say again, as I said in their WhatsApp group, about if we have players coming in, loan players, I would like them to loan with an option to buy.
Yeah,
because
100%.
We have championship qualifiers coming
up. We're going to loan a left back with an option to buy.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm just using that. Listen, we're all delighted that Tierney's coming in, right?
But Taylor's still out of contract.
I know, but we do need additional. Listen, Greg Taylor, I think as well, we would all probably like him to stay. But he ain't going to stay. I'm hearing he's looking for 25 grand a month, a week, and Celtic aren't going to pay him that. That's what I've heard. So we just need to move on. But we need to get our act together, guys. And the worry is, yes, we've got 3 days to go, but two of the days are over the weekend when teams are playing, Saturday or Sunday. Players. So we could be looking at targets who could potentially get injured, but that can happen anytime. But it's just getting so near the final bell, and that's the problem. We're going to be held to ransom to bring a player in. We're going to end up having to pay over the.
Jed, exactly right. It's going to be a situation, and James alluded to the fact as well, where people know we need a striker. The price gets inflated, and we'll have to pay that price, whatever it may be. And it doesn't sit well with me. And look, I'm not taking anyone out in particular, how people can be comfortable with this. But it's this 3 days left in the window, we are weaker than what we were when we started, right? And it's simple, it's facts, right? Ross, we can have a wee go if you want, buddy. I don't mind.
Stephen, right? That sounded pretty much like you were digging somebody in particular out there, I must admit.
Yeah, 100%, which is why I reacted how I did.
No one. I promise you.
Ross, I'll come up.
But no, like it's no elbows. No, but like again, I get where Ross is coming from, but I'm not comfortable with the fact that people are kind of suggesting Montgomery and can fill a gap in the domestic level. We need to be more ambitious than that. We need to be more on the ball than that. We need to bring in targets who, I mean, Rodgers spoke about it today. He wants to come out stronger in the window at this moment in time. 3 days left to get the 3 or 4 players that we all want in is a big, big ask. I think there might be a position in the team that we'll have to just contend with the fact we're going to be low on numbers. And for me, that's not good enough, in my opinion, if anyone wants to add to that. But I don't think it's good enough.
Well, I don't think it is a big, big ask to get, you say 3 players. I think 2, like I would say a striker, and a left back. And if I think that's doable, and the time we've got left. You look back at previous windows, we have signed players late on in the window, and not just one. We've signed 2 and 3 on occasion. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think Carter Vickers came in the last day. I'm not saying Jota and Carter Vickers. I'm not saying that we're going to get that level of player in, but it isn't beyond the realms of possibility, Stephen. And again, for me, you say we need a striker. Initially,
I think you did as well. I think you did as well.
That's what I'm just coming on to. Initially, when we sold Kyogo, I was fuming. But the more the news settles in and it's actually happened now, and I look at the performance Idah put in the other night. I look at the performance that Idah put in the other night. Again, I repeat myself, but if he can follow that up and take the confidence for the 2 goals, then that can only benefit us. I wouldn't say we need a striker, and I'm not saying, not for me anyway, I wouldn't say that Maeda is a long-term option as a striker, but Brendan Rodgers played him there at the start of the season, and he scored 3 or 4 goals maybe in the
five, I think it was
5 goals.
5.
Albeit it's pre-season, it's people are at different levels of their performance, but I think he can come in and play through the middle between now and the end of the season for Celtic, and we'll be okay. I've not got any qualms about that, and I don't want Celtic to be held to ransom, and I don't think Celtic definitely will not be held to ransom. People will make the case they were with Idah in the summer, but I don't think they would be this time. It might be in the summer, they might be, but they might be able to get this Fitzgarden. I don't know much about the guy. It might be him, and they might say to themselves, we don't desperately need him. We're not paying 13.5 million for him in this window. They might get him for a bit cheaper in the summer window. I don't know, but I don't think that there's massive panic in that striker department. The more I think about it, and the more I let it settle in. Again, I go back to it. Bayern Munich, 2 games, home and away. We want to have the best available players that we can have. And if we can get another striker in who is going to be as good, better than Idah, then great. That helps us along the way. But at the same time, as I've said, there is options across that front line, especially even more so now with Jota coming in, which, as I've said initially when Kyogo left, I was fuming and I was like, we can't go with just Idah. Yeah. But then you think about it and you go, right, Jota's coming in, he can play there, As I've said, so I'm not overly panicked. I would probably say at this point, the left back, now that things have settled down and I have had time to think about it, I would say maybe the left back is more, maybe is more pressing, but because, and James, you made the case earlier that I don't know if yourself had spoke about Scales coming in at left back, and I did shoot that down in flames, and I would shoot it down in flames again. All I'm saying is it's not an ideal situation to play Scales there. I would actually go to a back 3 before I played Scales at left back. But all I was saying earlier was that as an option, it's not the perfect option. It's not the option you want, but it is an option on the table for us between now and the end of the season. And it's one that probably, if we have to do it maybe 2-3 times between now and the end of the season, I think we probably could cope with it domestically. But it's not something I really want to see.
Guys, can I ask you something then? Let's look at the worst case scenario.
Right, I'm going to go to the toilet, so Jed, you ask the question.
Right, we do not sign another striker. So is Johnny Kenny going to be getting a chance? Because we can't expect Idah. We can't expect Idah to be doing everything on his own. And I know you say you put my Idah up. We have got the option. I've said that as well. But that's the scenario. And I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Kenny will get the chance?
I think James, he should. If Roger, no, you go then, James.
Oh, so, no, I think he should as well. I think he's done well at Shamrock Rovers, and based on that off 10 minutes of what we've seen him at Dingwall, I thought he looked the part as well when he came on. Yeah. I think it was Dingwall he came on anyway.
Yeah.
But to go into the second half of the season, and I know we've got a comfortable lead in the league, but to go into the second half of the season, and again, I'll say I don't think it's going to be the case, but as it stands now, our striking options, our out-and-out strikers are Idah, Kenny and Cummings. It's no inspiring, to be honest. And that's not a slight in Johnny Kenny, because what I've seen him, he actually looks all right, but he's still unproven. And with the Idah thing, I understand he can play through the middle, but for me, we needed a winger coming into this window because the drop-off in quality from Idah and Kuhn to Yang and Palmer was by far too much. Palmer's going to be away as well. No forgetting that. GBNF. But he's going to be away. So then it's going to be...
Did you just say GBNF?
GBNF. But then you're going to have Idah playing through the middle, and it'll be Kuhn and Jota either side. And then you find yourself back in square one where you're an injury away for having to rely on Yang again. And we've already seen that Yang can't cut it. So that's where my frustration lies with the Idah through the middle. I'm no dead set against playing Idah as a striker, but it's square pegs and round holes. The same with the left back situation when there is no need for it to be that way. That's what annoys me more than anything. But as I say, I'm not going to get too hung up on it now because the window's still open, and I still think I find it very, very hard to believe that we'll let our best striker go mid-season and no replace him, and we'll go into it with one left back that has got 6 months left in his deal, albeit with Tierney coming in the summer. But I just find it hard to believe we'd do that.
Sorry, guys, to butt in as well. Just what Bhoys put up. Can I ask him a question as well? Remember I said earlier, guys, the rumour is we went in for somebody and the fans will go ballistic. Who it is? Just came to me who I think it could be. Lawrence Shankland.
Fucking don't say that, Dad, please.
See, no, that's what I'm saying. The guy said, listen, we will not, if this comes to fruition, we will not be happy. And I just came to who is it's going to, the fans are going to go mental. Would it be? Would you be happy with Lawrence Shankland coming?
I'm not even going to talk about that because one,
that's never happening.
It's a rumour,
okay.
And two,
yeah.
that's just like nah, it'll no be that. No danger, man.
But if Bhoys say, boss, if they've heard anything about a striker we went in for because we ain't get another guy, is it potentially him?
Look, just to back you up, Jed, because I think the Lawrence Shankland things, like you threw a name out there because we know we would go mad. Yeah, you have. But look, I'll give you your credit. Look, I've seen a lot of rumors on Twitter today about potential loan options. I think one of them is Iheanacho. The other is a player from Luton. I can't remember his name. I think it's Morris. And then there's a striker, Ross Stewart from Sunderland. Potentially, we are looking at these as loan options. Yeah, Ross Stewart. He played for Ross County. Potentially the other three alternatives if we don't get Quitsgarden, whatever the fuck his name is, if we don't get him. But final thoughts on the window and what you would like to see before we kind of pad up with the Motherwell game. Ross, I'll start with yourself. I know we've had a wee bit to and fro, but what would be your ideal end of the window then?
Ideal end of the window would be, I could be really sarcastic and rhyme off a few world-class players, but I'm not going to do that because that's just not who I am.
Well, it is who you are. It is.
I would ideal end to the window. I would like to see a left back coming in on loan, a striker permanently, but failing that on loan. But again, if it doesn't happen, I wouldn't get too hung up on it because I think we've got enough in the squad between now and the end of the season. Anything else? That bastard technical holding midfielder, but we're not going to sign that in January because, well, I was going to say because that'll be more of a summer signing, but we've got this game against Bayern Munich, these 2 games against Bayern Munich coming up, but that type of signing would help us. So ideally, that somebody like that, but I mean, it's not going to happen. If we get as I say, if we get a left back in on loan and a striker in permanently, that would be decent business. And I would be surprised if something along those sort of lines doesn't happen between now and Monday night.
Stephen, can I come in there just to put that?
Yeah, just 2 wee seconds. Just 2 wee seconds. My wee brother Daniel, who's watching John fuck up Ibrox as a shithole. All fun and games, all banter. But
Right,
Jed, go ahead.
Can I just bring up what the guy put up about Shankland? I did not say I wanted Shankland. I was only thinking what this rumour is and who is the player that would send us ballistic. Is it Shankland? That was all I meant. I am no way saying I want you.
Oh no! Wait, I know.
You know,
but what would be your ideal end of the window then?
Ideal end of the window, like Ross, and we won't go down the line of world beaters. I would like to see the boy. His surname ends with Garden. I'm not trying to pronounce. I would like to see him in. I'd love to see Lennon Miller signed, but staying at Motherwell for the rest of the season. I'd love to see him coming in.
What? I don't see it with Lennon Miller. I don't see it.
Listen,
don't see what?
Why people want him so much? I don't see it.
I agree with that.
No, you agree with me? Unbelievable.
I personally think the guy's a player. For a young guy, he's a very good player. But the other, I want a left back in, and I want a right-sided centre back for cover for CCB.
Right. And James, what about yourself?
I just want Palmer back in a bag of cans and be off skating a 6-month loan deal.
He said he's medical at Olympiacos, by the way.
Oh, he's away, isn't he?
A left back and a striker. A left back and a striker, as it stands now, I'll be relatively happy with. I think a odd midfielder's probably a bit pie in the sky because it feels as if we've said it for every one day for about the last 10 years and it just never happens. So I'd settle for that now.
Right, fair enough. I mean, for myself, I've a left back, ideally another centre half and a striker, and I'll be happy. But I think we need another centre half. To be fair,
I'd agree with
skills
for cover for CCV, Steve.
Yeah, basically, I think we need someone up there with that level on the right side. Yeah.
We'll sell CCV in the summer. No any plan to replace him.
Ben Murray's just a great 6 month at Queen's Park.
Right.
Can I just say, for a team...
You can say anything you want, Ed. Say anything you want. You only want them to be on for an hour and a half.
League, we have got already one cup and one trophy in the bag. We're 13 points in front, 10 points in front of a game in hand. We do some moaning. And I'm including myself in this.
We do.
Imagine
I'm just trying to find...
You said
I'm just trying to find...
You started it.
I did.
You know what, boys? You know what we're going to do here? Because I think it's just fitting. I think are we having a good time? Anyone want to go off, though?
No, I've actually finished making records.
Are you not entertained?
Are you going for the record? The longest.
We're not going for the record. But what I've done is I've found a wee quiz. There's been a few people asking for a quiz.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
So we'll do a wee quiz.
Stephen, I'll go and get my daughter back in. She maybe bring some. I'll get Chloe to come
bring her back in if you want, no problem. But we'll do a wee quiz, right, to break it up before we move on to the Motherwell game, right? So I've just found this, so bear with me if it's like wrong or shit, but it's the same thing. Just shout it out, okay? Right, hold on. Right, so this is based on, I hate saying this, right? I'm not saying the word, but UK players abroad, right? Right?
Aye.
We all got it? Yeah. So question 1. Who was the first UK-based player to play abroad?
Dennis Law.
Nope.
What was the question? Sorry, man. On that.
Sorry. Who was the first UK-based player to play abroad?
No got a clue.
Jed?
No.
Nope.
Are we still trying to sign him then, eh?
It was a player
Been
called
scouting him
John.
for 50 years.
It was a player called John Charles who joined Juventus in 1957. There we go.
He was a Welsh guy.
So it was.
He
Aye.
was a Welsh boy.
You all knew it. That name come up there. Question 2. Kevin Keegan won the Ballon d'Or twice while playing for
Hamburg.
which German club?
Hamburg.
Oh.
Well in, Jed. Well in, Jed. Unbelievable. Question
Not the first time
3.
I've heard that.
Well in. You're a dirty bastard, aren't you? Right. Question 3. Scotland international Paul Lambert won the Champions League with which European
Borussia
side?
Dortmund.
Jed, 2-0.
That was me. Come off it, man. I'm out
Ross.
of here. Ta-ta.
Right. Question 4. How much did Real Madrid pay? How much did Real Madrid pay to sign Jude Bellingham? A, 81 million. B, 88.5. C, 92.3. Or D, 104.
104.
Your head is cooked. Over to you.
88.
88.
Whatever.
You are correct, though. You're correct. So it's 2-1-0. James, this is the first time I've seen you struggle in the quiz.
Mate, I'm not going to lie, man. I'm not struggling. I'm here like 3 words of a question.
You're talking shit. Right, so question 5.
Help that.
Question 5. Paul Gascoigne left Tottenham for which Italian
Lazio.
club in 1990?
Lazio.
3-1-0. Unbelievable. Right. Question 6. How many Champions League titles did Gareth Bale win with Real Madrid?
3.
3.
Nope.
2.
4.
Mm-mm.
5.
2.
James is in. 5. 3-1-1.
5. Fucking hell.
Question 8. By the way, in the comments, I see all your answers. Really good getting involved there, but I'm reading out as well. I'm holding the beer. I can't triple task. Multitasking is hard enough, right? So, question 8. Hold on, question 7. Sorry. Which Asian country did Gary Lineker play in? South Korea, Japan, or China?
Japan.
Well, NZ 4-1-1. Question 8. Stephen Gerrard played for Liverpool, and which foreign club during his career?
LA Galaxy.
LA Galaxy.
That was James.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
James.
4. What's that? 4-2-1. Right. Question. At which European club did David Beckham finish his career?
PSG.
AC Milan.
That was AC Milan.
No, it was PSG.
That was
Retired.
Who said PSG first? Who said
Me.
PSG first?
Even-
Me.
Right. So 4-2-2. Right. George Blessed. Wow.
West.
George
Tips.
Best. George Best played for how many different clubs in the United States?
2.
2.
3.
James, that's 4-3-2. Right. We'll move on to the international quiz. Hold on, actually. I will fuck it. We'll do it. Some of these are repetitive, but who gives a fuck? Question 1. Who is the all-time FIFA World Cup top goal scorer?
Closer.
What's that? The German boy, yeah.
4-4-2. Question 2. Which country won their first ever UEFA European Championship in 1960?
UEFA
Hungary.
Championship.
No. Good.
Go on,
That's always the kind of go-to.
Repeat the
isn't it?
question. Sorry.
No problem. Which country won the first ever UEFA European Championship in 1960?
Hungary.
I am. We've been Hungary, but it's not Hungary.
No.
Germany?
No.
Czechoslovakia.
Mm-mm.
Portugal.
Spain.
Nope. Right.
Italy.
We're stopping. We're not naming all the countries. It was the Soviet Union. So it was, let me see. P. McLaughlin got that correct in the comments. So question 3 in the international football. Argentina have won a record 16 Copa America titles. Who is the closest to their total with 15 victories?
Brazil.
Uruguay.
No. It is correct, then. Uruguay. 5-4-2. 5-4-2. Question. Question 4. Only 3 countries have won the CONCACAF Gold Cup. Can you name them?
Brazil.
Egypt. Cameroon. Oh, CONCACAF. Sorry. On you go. No, I've dived in, so I don't know.
Is
Ross?
Brazil one of them?
Nope.
Is it not
I don't
something
know,
like
man.
America, Canada? And
You've got 2 of them, Jed. You've got one
Mexico.
more.
Jamaica.
No, she went herself.
Right.
It was Mexico. I can't give any of us that one. So still 5-4-2.
Mexico.
Well, I got 2 of them. So I get half a point.
You got 2.
Well, I should get 7 points for getting Mexico.
5. Who has scored the most goals in international football history?
Pele.
Nope.
Fuck. It's not Ronaldo. It's the Saudi Arabian guy or something, or the Egyptian guy.
Aye.
I don't know his name.
Ali. Fuck.
That's a club name, Ross. And Parkhead boy, it wasn't Tony Cascarino. It was in fact Cristiano Ronaldo. So there you go. Question 6. Which England footballer has made the most appearances for the national team?
Beckham.
Peter Shilton.
Oh no, it's Rooney.
Oh, Jed, you're on fire. You're 6'4", 6'4", 2. Ross and James.
Schultz. No way.
That was Schalke. Question 7. Which African nation has gone the furthest at the World Cup?
Cameroon.
Senegal.
Nope.
Senegal.
Nope.
Egypt.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh,
Never let's go
Nigeria.
through it.
Nigeria.
2022, this happened.
Ghana. Semi-finals.
2022. No. 2022.
Morocco.
Boom, Jed. Well in. 6.
Did Ghana
4-2.
not get to the semi-finals in South Africa? The Luis Suarez on board. Was that the quarter to get to the semi?
That was the quarters. Question 8. Actually, don't know, James. I don't know what that was. Australia beat which team 31-0 in a 2002 World Cup qualifier?
St Kitts and Nevis.
No.
What about
Excuse me?
one of the wee teams?
Western Samoa.
Oh, Jed, I can't give you that. Ross.
Samoa. Fuck's sake,
No.
come on.
Eastern Samoa. North of Samoa, just up for
Mid.
Samoa.
No. Ross, you.
He's just going to say West.
Western Samoa.
American Samoa. American.
Oh,
Question 9. Who is the highest scorer in the African Cup of Nations history?
Salah.
Nope.
Drogba.
Nope.
Sane.
Fuck's sake, no.
Not Sane. Mane, I mean. Mane.
No.
Sane.
Weah, Georgie Weah.
No.
Etu.
Franny. Yes, it was Etu. Also,
Oh,
James,
yeah.
I've noticed you still have the comments on. That's shambolic. So that's 7-5-2. Right? Last question. Jed's won it anyway. Which team has won the AFC Asian Cup most frequently?
Aston Villa.
South Korea.
AFC.
Japan.
That's correct. So it's finished 7-6-2. Well done, Jed. You won that one. You won that wee quiz there. That was decent. A lot of people in the comments got involved.
I would have been disappointed if I didn't.
I know. They're both shite. You know
Well,
what I
I'm
mean?
disappointed I didn't, Jed, so...
But yeah, thanks. We're still 65 live, which is fantastic. And
By the
people
way,
are getting
can I
involved in
have
that
a
quiz, so thanks
nature
very
call?
much.
I'll put my hand on
Do you want me to come with? Do you want us to come with you? Bring the camera in. We'll have fun. Ross, we'll move on. Motherwell. What do you think about their manager leaving because of the pressure he was feeling from the stands, and his family were affected by it? A bit sad, isn't it?
It's a sad indictment on sort of society in this day and age. But to be honest with you, I don't know the full ins and outs. I don't know what was said to him or what tipped him over the edge. What was the sort of final thing that tipped him over the edge? But I'm a bit like, I feel like in this day and age, people don't have as much resilience as they probably should. But it's difficult for me to accuse Kettlewell of that because I don't know exactly what was said, or if his family, he might have a son or whatever that's maybe received some abuse at school off the back of Motherwell's performances lately. But I don't know for sure. It's difficult for me to comment on it, but it's not good that it gets to a point where a manager feels he has to leave his position because of abuse for the stands. Which it's quite clear that it's not good.
Yeah. No, I agree with Ross there, James. I mean, he was talking about his kids were afraid to come to the ground and things of that nature. And I know people, I mean, your man comes in saying it kind of rules them out for jobs going forward. But see, to be fair, if I was in that position and my kids were scared to go somewhere, my family comes first every day of the week. That's it. And if he thought the right call was to leave Motherwell, then he's done that for himself and his family. And for me, that can only be commended.
I can't really add to that. I think he was on a bit of a sugary peg anyway. I know a lot of the support kind of wanted him gone, and I think that I was actually surprised they were on a pretty bad run. I thought they were. I know they're, according to the table, they're having a good season, but I think they hadn't won in, was it 5 or 6, and they'd only won so many in the last 10 or 15 or something. So I not really asked, to be honest with you, but it's a bit hard.
I feel you, bro.
Jed, give me some comments here.
Listen,
come
guys,
on,
if
Cattlewell.
anybody's suffering, you need a wee bit of help. Stephen's there to no answer the phone to you. Or James, sorry, James is there no to answer the phone.
Why did you say me? Oh fuck! But what about yourself? I mean, they've lost the manager. It must be a big kind of shock to them all.
It can't be easy. I thought he'd done a not bad job. I know he's had the last month of that's been a wee bit of a struggle and getting knocked out the cup. But I'm sure I was reading where Motherwell has the 10th highest budget out of 12 teams in the team. And he's been punching, he said the team punching well above their weight. I just think it's pretty sad. I thought he was doing a decent job.
Yeah, no, to be fair, that
you don't want to go and play a team when they've got another guy in charge. So I know it's only temporary, but it's a new manager bounce syndrome we could be up against at the weekend.
Well, their new manager, their caretaker manager is Stevie Frail. He used to be the youth,
ex-Celtic.
Youth academy manager at Celtic for years. Yeah. So a bit familiar there. But Ross, I mean, get into the game Fair Park on Sunday. How do you think it's going to go? Do you think we'll see any surprises? Your score, your lineup prediction, all that. But what would be your kind of feelings going into it? Will it be a walk in the park? Will it be a tough game?
Oh, it'll be a tough game. It's usually, listen, it doesn't matter. Motherwell's just lost their manager. They're maybe on a bad run of form. It's for the most part a tough game at Fair Park, and I expect no different on Sunday. But also expect Celtic to still go and win the game. I don't expect it to be I never caught that. I thought Stephen was.
Oh, sorry, it was just Paul
I've seen it at the bottom there. I don't expect it to be like a 3-4-5-0 game, but I still expect Celtic to win the game because I think, like everybody expects Celtic to win every game domestically. I know that we can't win every single game domestically, but I expect us to go and win that game in the morning. Maybe 2-0, 2-1. But it'll be a tough game. Motherwell are a decent side, and they usually up their game when Celtic and Rangers come to town, certainly at their park. So I won 2-1, 2-0 Celtic, but I expect us to get the 3 points.
Your lineup prediction.
Oh, my lineup prediction. Well, did I see something in the group chat earlier saying Kasper Schmeichel get injured or something?
No, he's in. He was taking a rest. It was me.
Right. Well, he'll start and go. Then it'll be Alistair Johnson. I think Carter Vickers is back available. Is that right?
Yep.
I think he is. I think he'll come back into the team, and I think he'll be alongside Trusty. Left back will be
Alex Baye.
No, it'll be the new loan signing again tomorrow morning. No, it'll be Greg Taylor. And then the midfield, let's go the undroppable Callum McGregor. I'll go Bernardo. Willa. No, I'll go Engels and Bernardo. And the front line will be Kuhn, Maeda, Idah.
And Jeff, I'll throw the same question to yourself. I mean, Motherwell, Fair Park has been a kind of, sometimes it's difficult, sometimes we kind of get a 4-0, but we've had a 4 each there before. We've had draws, we've had defeats. Kettlewell always set up well against us. I don't know how Stevie Frail's going to approach the game, but they've got the likes of Tony Watt, Andy Halliday in their team, obviously big Blue Nose. So they'll be right up for it. It'll be a tough challenge. What do you expect going to Fair Park? Do you agree with Ross's lineup prediction? Would you change anything?
Yeah, almost similar lineup prediction. But listen, we actually have got a pretty decent record at Fair Park in recent years. Been a lot of amazing match. I mean, you go back to Rogic scoring in injury time. Was that the 4-3 game? So there is. It's going to be. I don't think it's going to have a walk in the park. I agree with that. I do think McGowan will start, so I will go Schmeichel, Johnson, Carter Vickers, Trusty, Taylor, McGregor. He's still going to start. Engels, McGowan, and Idah up front with Maeda and Kuhn on the wings. But
what about your score prediction, Jeff?
2-1.
2-1. And James, finally.
I'll do the exact same team as Jed. McCowan in the midfield, and I'll go for a relatively.
Oh, how do you like your eggs?
Somebody need to tell us what the Bayern score was there. I'll go 3-1.
Right. Just a quick. What's this? Daft rumours, Arsenal and balls. But what do you make of just quickly about people saying about Jada's kind of physical appearance? Does he look?
Looks like a.
I think he looks. Would that be a concern?
He looks really skinny. I thought that when I seen him at first as well. Mm-hmm. He's taken a bulk up a bit. Certainly for the way he looked the last time.
Aye.
Yeah. What about you, Ross?
You guys. Should we all be commenting on somebody's weight, really? Us four?
Jed, I'm a physical specimen. I thank you very much.
You're a specimen, like folk handing specimens of their own shit.
Ross, what about you?
When I look at Jota, all I hear is, I didn't know you had dandruff. I don't. Nah, he does look a bit skinnier, to be fair. But I think similar to Kuhn, I think he's coming in to the team. When Kuhn came in, he looked dead skinny. Obviously, he hadn't been playing a lot of football, and Jota's the same. I think Rodgers alluded to it in his press conference today that he needs to. Obviously, he'll build him up in training, but also he'll bring him into games because Jota said it himself as well. The best way to build fitness is getting minutes on the park. I think you'll see that he'll come on. He'll come on at some point on Sunday, but I think we all are in agreement that he won't start. But he'll get gradually drip fed into the team, and he'll build up. But he'll build up, and probably sort of end of next month. You'll see Jota almost at full flow, hopefully.
Yeah, no, I agree. It'll take him a couple months to get up to speed. I think it'll be similar to the Kuhn situation. Maybe 6 months and they'll be back flying next year. Look, but lads, it brings us to the end of the podcast. I've really enjoyed it. I'm gutted that Franny had to drop out because of his internet issues, but I think we've had a good time. Have you enjoyed tonight?
Very much so.
Yeah.
I can't wait till the after talk and this finishes to see if Ross and James are still at it. We maybe need to just pull in another drink.
No, I've camped in.
I've no drink left. I've drank all my beers. I'm loving it, having a good time, like, to be fair. But yeah, everyone in the comments, thanks for sticking with us, and we appreciate that. And we'll be back again on Monday, hopefully discussing a good result at Fir Park. But until then, everyone, stay well and keep safe. Hail, hail.